Nothing here is black and white. Nothing here is black and baby, do you realize nothing here is black and white? Meet me on the brighter side when you change your mind. Nothing here is black and white. Baby, do you realize we won't have to be alone? Meet me on the brighter side when you change your mind. Nothing here is black and white. Nothing here is black and
Hey guys, how we doing? All good? Doing well? Steve, how you doing, mate? How you doing? Good to see you again. Hope everybody else's week's off to a good start. Get this turned down. Hey Alan, yeah, I know, man. I know, right? It has been good. It has been good all day, so we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, let's get that. Let me get that music off. So what Alan's referring to there is the fact that the stream did not go well last week. Internet problems with BT, so which did actually take like 3 days or something to get sorted out. So it certainly wasn't something that was just a blip for a couple of hours. It was a right pain in the ass. Yeah. But yeah, people are good, man. Yeah. If you're new, just tuning in, then we do these streams. We'll try to do these streams every couple of weeks, and we tend to just have a chat about some of the latest releases and that sort of stuff. Choose a topic to kind of cover as well for a little bit. Sometimes it's me going through like a new product that I've been testing or playing with, and then also go through and check out some of the community images and give some feedback if it's kind of needed. But yeah, let me just grab the link for you. Let's see. Yeah. Hey Alan, yeah, I'm sure they will, Alan. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm sure they'll refund me on that. Let's have a look. So last week, obviously, because we had to cancel the stream due to the internet, I'm just popping that in there. But yeah, this is the image that link will take you to. I will be looking at last week's images because I know a bunch of people submitted images last week, so we'll fire those up and take a look. Yeah, we didn't get a ton of submissions this week. Maybe that's because everybody. I should have let everybody know in the comments of those images. To be fair, last week what was going on, because they were like obviously just thinking what the hell. But yeah. So yeah, sorry about that, but out of my control. Yeah, it has been good for a while. But yeah, funny time of the year work wise as well. Just kind of like the middle ground. I just finished my thought on this. If you wanted to share a shot, that link that I've just popped in chat there will take you to the Facebook page and just take you to this image. Just scroll down and pop your images in the chat here, and we can take a look later on. Yeah, a funny time of year for work. The start of the year was pretty busy. We got some stuff coming up later on, but like I think, I don't know, as a full-time artist, creative, whatever you want to call it, it's when you're between projects, it can be a weird time, which is where I'm at now. Speaking of that, I was up till like 7 o'clock in the morning last night, so didn't have a ton of sleep, just because as soon as you get some ideas that you want to play with, I tend to not be able to sleep until I've got them at least jotted down or worked out. I think my mate was messaging me on Instagram, memeing me about something. I was like, dude, just go to bed already. And he's like, I just got up, I got to take the kids to school. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, I didn't realize the time. So being a creative is not for everybody. I'll say that. So yeah, I just had a shower to kind of wake myself up, but I'm sure it'll be good. We've got a little bit to cover. Do want to be talking about the light that I got from Godox, the new LED LiteWafer UP150R, which is just basically a LED panel. And a few brands have put out LED panels. So Godox is not necessarily late to the table on this one, but you know they've had some like fold-up panels and that sort of stuff in the past, like which have been pretty good, but the LEDs have been very spaced and not 100% on the LEDs with the frequency that they were putting out. We're getting some banding and that sort of stuff. So this unit here is certainly a more complete unit. Now I was going to talk about it last week, and let me just bring it up here. We can just have a look, and I'll just mention, yeah, this thing here, yeah. And I was going to go for it last week, but I hadn't used it last week. Now, since last stream that failed, I have had a chance to play with this and shoot with it. And look, there is obviously good things to share about it, but there is a few issues that I kind of want to talk about and cover, which is kind of a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. So I'll go over those. Yeah. But kind of like I said, disappointing, but we can chat about those as I do think that they will. I'd be surprised if they don't get addressed. But yeah, I'll chat about that in a second. And if anybody's seen anything news-wise that they wanted to mention photographically, they wanted to cover, I'll be honest, I'm bringing up kind of like the last week's news that I didn't cover last time, so I haven't really checked. Didn't get a chance today to check for any new releases that came out the last couple of weeks, or certainly this last week gone. Nothing was sent to me, although Godox color palette, they kind of quietly announced, snuck it out. So I'll have a chat about that. But otherwise, yeah, not a ton. So going back, like I said, this news is a little bit old now, but going back to the NASA mission to the far side of the moon, they took I think 2 or 3 Nikons with them. I know they famously took the big bulky Nikon D5, which everybody was kind of like up in arms about, especially the Sony shooters, right? They were just like, oh my god, like how could you possibly dare take a relic like that into space? And yeah, it was kind of funny, but yeah, I mean, this thing's 10 years old. So for them to take it on a mission as important as, I mean, that's pretty much, I don't know whether it's the furthest we've ever been into like manned mission. I don't know if it's the furthest we've ever been into space, but certainly one of, if not the furthest manned mission. So like, it was a serious thing to then take a camera that you'd think, Christ, that's 10 years old. What on earth were they thinking? But look, I think it comes down to the kit that you know, right? And I think there was history of this camera going on previous missions. Several people talking about how it deals with the radiation stuff up there, and like the ISO sensitivity and that sort of stuff. It's not about, you know, how many pixels it has. It's really about the quality of the pixels and that sort of stuff. So I think, you know, there's a couple of contributing factors there, but I think probably the one that won out overall as to why they took this up there was, look, we've taken it up into space before. It hasn't suffered from radiation like it has the potential to, especially with it affecting the chip, like the sensor and that sort of stuff. So I think they were like, look, let's just stick with what we know. Like, we don't want to risk it. We know it's worked in the past. So I think this is kind of a big win for Nikon, especially when you consider that this thing is like 10 years old. I think like my D850 that I use a lot still is 10 years old as well. So I think it held up remarkably well. And we're going to have a look at a couple of the images from that in a second. Yeah. They did also take up, I think somebody, you know, took up one of the newer Z9s. I think it's good as well, you know, that they are taking that up, and I'm sure that it, or Z9, however you want to say it, I'm sure that they were pretty happy with how it performed, and I'm sure that'll be the norm going forward, right? In the future, maybe the D5 won't get taken, and they'll just take the Z9 now that they've tested it up there. But yeah, I want to have a look at a couple of images from that. Yeah. Hey Lynn, how you doing? I want to have a look at a couple of the images that they took up there, just from a nerdy point of view. And I kind of mentioned this in the previous stream about how NASA, government funded or funded by the people. So like the images that NASA captured are kind of public domain within reason, I think. So you can access some of these images as long as you do a little bit of digging, because the normal website didn't give me all the information that I was after, but a little bit of digging, and I was able to come across this site here, which actually has the full high-resolution versions of the files with the metadata still intact, right? So from a nerdy point of view, it was kind of interesting that you could actually find some of these images, or go through all of the images, in fact, and look at the metadata from all of these shots. And yeah, it's kind of some interesting data there, because you're like, how bright is space? How bright is it? Like, how much light do you need? Is it tons? Is it not much? So I was kind of from a purely nerdy point of view, just kind of curious. So we got f8 here. We can see f8. We got nothing crazy on there. Exposure, computation, no, all good. Exposure time 1,000th of a second, and then ISO 400. So pretty standard here for the for the front. Nothing crazy. So when we get into some of the other kind of more interesting shots, especially when they go around the back of the moon, or when there was like kind of an eclipse, as it were, was kind of interesting. So again, here we got f16, we got 500th of a second, and then ISO 500. So again, nothing crazy, right? And this goes on. It was a couple of images in here that kind of, I was like, that's pretty, it's kind of bright and that sort of stuff. And then you look down here in the metadata, and it is exposure compensation +2. So they've actively made a decision to kind of pump this up to, to make sure that they've, got as much data as possible in some of these shadows here. The exposure compensation is, because it doesn't appear really on many other shots. So it's something that they've actively done. So, okay. Interesting. Interesting. I don't think it was anything crazy. Yeah, a lot of these shutter speeds are extremely fast so 5.6, 500, right? And again, exposure compensation. So they're really trying to brighten up the surface here, and I wonder what the camera is doing, because they're obviously going, it needs to be brighter. I presume that maybe they took a shot, right, and it was like, oh, that's too dark. So maybe the camera was darkening it down too much, just because the whole screen is probably filled with this reflective, very reflective, almost like filling the screen, reflective white. So maybe the camera itself was trying to save that data and darkening itself down. Yeah. I only mention this because it actually shows the GoPros in here as well, which was kind of cool. So there's just like some outside shots of the GoPros were taken. Yeah. To actually say what cameras these were. Let's have a look. They're using the 80 to 400 there. Okay. Interesting. Okay, 80 to 400 there. Yeah. And I can't see. Oh, there we go. The Nikon D5. Yes, I think all of these are the D5. I didn't actually come across any of the Z9s. Yeah, all of these. Yeah, all of these are the D5s. So I wonder what they use the Z9s for. Yeah. Did anybody look at these? Did anybody see these at the time, or were interested in? Or like maybe it's just like, Jake, it's a picture of the moon. Like I see it every night. It's not that interesting. Yeah, I don't know. But to me, I thought it was kind of wild seeing some of the data from these. F2, what we got here, it's the same. So shutter speed there of 26,000. F2. So what is that? That's the Z9. Okay, so I'm looking at this flare and I'm thinking, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Okay, so that's the Z9. Okay, so they were just taking, I don't know, family holiday snaps with the Z9. Again, what was it saying? Adobe Photoshop at the bottom. Okay, let's have a look. Like way down here. I didn't see that. Yeah, you're right. So the software, so I presume the software that they were exporting these files from is Lightroom Classic on Windows. Yeah. I don't think, unless you see something there that means that they did anything to it, I'm not seeing anything that they adjusted it in any way. Yeah. Low gain up, ISO 1600. Okay. And then we get into some of these shots where they start to go around the other side of the moon, literally the dark side of the moon, right? And they start cranking these up. And this was one of the arguments at the time for why they took the D5 up there over other cameras. Personally, I think it's probably just to do with just being safe. Work with what you know. But one of the arguments at the time was how the D5 renders very high ISO and how it works with the noise that produces. It's not, like I said, it's not necessarily about the amount of megapixels, but how it deals with the noise. And many argue that lesser megapixels like this particular camera over something like 80 plus megapixels or 105 plus megapixels, some would say that this gives you a cleaner image because you're not like the pixels aren't as densely packed, right? So whether that's one of the reasons that they actually went with or not, but that is certainly an argument. So this is we got here. We've got seemingly a sixth of a second. 4.5, which if it's on the zoom lens, that would have been as wide as it goes. Yeah, so 80 to 400, 4.5. So that would have been as wide as it possibly goes. So they're shooting at a sixth of a second. So I presume there would have been image stabilization, right? Yeah, and the ISO there. Yeah, so 40,000 ISO. Okay. So this thing is it's like some of these are getting noisy, and this one was crazy. So this is 5.6, and then the ISO on this thing was a monstrous 51,000 there. Yeah. So, and this is literally going around the back of the or the opposite side to the sun. You can just see the sun catching it here, but really on the dark side of the Earth there. So really kind of cranked it up. Yeah. So 15th of a second as well. I presume darken it down and stop as well. Yeah, some interesting choices in there. But yeah, like I think for me, I found it curious, especially with considering the tech that they took up, their 10-year-old tech, and pretty much all of these shots, most of them, like most of the proper photos were on the D5, and there was a couple in here that were the Z9, that were like, okay, yeah, kind of weird, but what lens was that? That's the 35mm. Okay, interesting choice to take up. Weight, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, interesting. I mean, yeah, this would be wild. I can't imagine you do anything else apart from shoot images. You'd just be fascinating. I just think every single thing would have been absolutely wild. Yeah, incredible to kind of play with. Yeah, or look at and see what you could do. Especially, I mean, you'd be constantly changing the settings up there as well, given how bright and dark it can be up there. So yeah, very interesting. If anybody's interested, there is, like I said, I think it's this site, this site here. This one takes you to the full res images. Yeah. I'll just send you the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. So the retro style continues. We're seeing more and more of these cameras. Those of you who aren't aware of this is the Rewind Pix camera. So Rewind Pix, a non-disposable digital film camera. So we're seeing a bunch of these coming out, and this one here, is obviously pretty popular, but there's been a few of these over the years. So what they needed, just over 11,000, and they got, over 500,000. So we'll see what they do with it. So what's interesting, or what's different about this camera then? Well, this is trying to be the analog digital camera. I know it has a switch on there that you can only shoot for 36 frames, and you can't see the back of the camera or anything like that. So it's and I think you wind on. You can set it to wind on to take another shot and that sort of stuff. Now, for some of us that are maybe a little bit more mature, this may seem weird, right? This may seem bizarre, but
over the past few years, we've seen a wave of screen-free digital cameras.
Yeah, so he's just talking about other, where the inspiration came from on these cameras as well. And talking about the size of it, the weight, and the fact that it's got screw thread on the lens, so you can put filters on it and that stuff. So it's got some features in there that's kind of interesting. It is a cold shoe on the top there. You can change the button and all that sort of stuff. This is advert. And then you've got film modes in there as well, so you can change, the film styles and that sort of thing. So, presets within the camera and that sort of thing. So, a little bit of fun, really, a little bit of fun. So, why am I bringing this up when this is, like a Father's Day gift type thing rather than a serious piece of tech? Why am I bringing it up? I think it speaks to a kind of a shift as well, where I'm seeing more and more of this kind of retro or vintage or kind of analog style approach. And you got to remember, it's not about the argument of, well, if you just like it so much, why don't you just shoot film, right? It's always like the knee-jerk reaction, of if you like the look so much, why don't you just shoot film? And look, I get that, I totally get that, and you can certainly do that, but I think it's not necessarily about just the look. Sure, it's about the feel, but you like we kind of want some of the convenience as well. Why not have best of both, right? I've been having a lot of fun recently with on-camera flash again, which is not something I've done in like 20 years, and it's certainly a look that was popularized a million years ago, and it kind of died off because, oh my god, who shoots with the flash on the camera anymore? It's all about off-camera flash, but like there's a bunch of styles. So film by, what was his name? What was his Greg something? Greg, guy who did the decent Batman film recently, the one with Robert Pattinson in it, and what's his name? Greg. Somebody will know it. Greg something. He did the June, like the first two June movies as well, and for people who were interested, he was kind of known for messing around with the old analog lenses on Batman, right? Like the old Helios. So you got this, multi-million-dollar movie, and then it's shot on a 40 quid antique Russian lens, right? To give you a certain look and style, right? So he recently did a film called Hail Mary, and he's kind of doing that similar style again. I think they call it like a dirty frame or something like that, where you have stuff in the foreground and you're shooting through stuff, and there's reflections and optical imperfections that kind of add an element to the movie that is giving you a little bit more interest in it than it just being crisp and pure, right? I don't know whether they did this, but I know it's available on IMAX. Now I think they shot it on digital, and I could be wrong, but I then think that they transferred it to film, right? So they make the digital film, and then I think they reshoot the digital image onto celluloid, if you like. Okay, so I think that's what they did. I can't remember there's a term for it, film out or film in or something like that, where they do that, which is kind of interesting, right? So it's kind of trying to literally film emulation. I'm just going to check the quality of the stream because of the bit rate. Yeah, the bit rate is fine. Error. I presume you guys are still there, but yeah, I think the bit rate is fine. Yeah. So it's an interesting kind of combination, right? So you shoot the film digitally, and he was talking about how he likes the safety blanket of being able to bring up the shadows or bring down the highlights if like the actor or actress like walks out of like the perfect light. He doesn't want it to be a completely reshoot if they give this performance of a lifetime, and he likes the safety of the digital, but then he likes the look of analog, and I think that's what they did. I think they refilmed it onto celluloid, and maybe they have to for IMAX, right? I think it all has to be done on film for IMAX. So it's an interesting process. It is an interesting process, and it's something we used to do a million years ago at art college. Is kind of reshooting stuff over and over again, kind of degrading it, right? We used to do it with films, your old VHS, you got your SCART leads, and you kind of copy the VHS film onto another VHS film, and you keep doing it, keep doing it, and you kind of give you this very organic, if you will, filter on top. And this is before filters were filters like we know it now. But yeah, so it's interesting to hear them doing it in cinema, and I presume that it's a pretty popular way of producing film, is to reshoot it on celluloid, as it were, to give it that look. And I'll have to look into that further, yeah, because I find that process interesting, and I'm kind of curious as to how tricky it would be photographically to do and what that would look like, because I'm sure you guys, spend any time on Instagram, have been bombarded with 1,000,001 ads, right? Ads where it's, lens filters, and I'm kind of writing an article at the moment about trends and styles and that sort of stuff, and how we are going through this kind of process right now where we're being sold these optical elements, like the optics they're holding in front of the lens, and they're moving it around by hand, and they're what is going on in this video, and they're shooting through diopters and split frames and prisms, and it's commercialized creativity, right? Because 10 years ago, wedding photographers were pulling out a prism from their like a science class prism from their pocket that cost them £3 from Amazon, and now it's being sold at £60 on a carbon fiber stick and a leather lanyard. And it's this kind of commercialization of creativity that I find interesting at the moment, and I think that we're getting bombarded with these lens filters and crap that you can hold in front of your camera, whereas when I was doing it years ago and I'm just holding up an old ashtray or broken ashtray or something like that, or Coca-Cola bottle, and now it's been commercialized to the point where some of these things are like literally costing $100 for what is essentially a broken Coca-Cola bottle. And it's weird. I think it's weird that we can do that now in this commercialization of this vintage style, or this apparent idea of a style, whereas we were purposely trying to dirty up the lens. And does it detract from it if you just bought it, right? If you're just buying like an analog film preset, is it the same as if you were to shoot it on digital and then at least shoot it on film again? I wonder how that would look if you could. I've got a pretty big TV here. I wonder if I was to shoot it on film, like produce a digital image and shoot it on film, because I've done it for medium format transparencies, right, for gobos and that sort of stuff, and produced images and shot it on medium format transparencies. They're probably here somewhere. It's pretty good. Like, it's pretty good. I would say if you're going to shoot it on medium format, it's almost taking away too much of the analog look. Like the quality of E6 or transparency film that I was using, like you could barely see any of the analog in there at all. And then I was projecting those images up big. So yeah, I'd be kind of curious. I'd be kind of curious. I know, there's tons of analog presets at the moment, and they're just like they don't look like analog film at all. So yeah, it's interesting time right now with this, and I think we're probably getting to the breaking point with it. I think people are going to start bouncing off it, or we're going to embrace it wholeheartedly thanks to AI, right? AI being the antichrist of this analog vintage style that many people embrace and shoot and film and all that sort of stuff. Gino says, I'm pretty sure that it's not just commercialization of creativity, but weaponization of nostalgia as well. Hey, Gino, how you doing? Yeah, I'd say, look, I would say you hit the nail on the head there, Gino, and I certainly appreciate your input on that, because as a friend of mine likes to say, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And he's right? Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and it's a very, very powerful one. And I think you're kind of targeting an age group, right? You're targeting an age group that has expendable income as well, right? So you've got, middle-aged guys and girls who have probably got, a few quid kicking about to spend on hobbies. And I think it's like the prime time to target them as well. But I mean, it's always been around. I mean, I remember like one of a million years ago when I was coming up, and I wrote an article on. I did a shoot, and I had one light. There was a big softbox behind it. And it was like shot in my front room or something like that. I had no space, something like that. Shot in the front room. I had one light, and I was like, I put a reflector, like a big reflector, in front of her. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Like, that's beautiful light. I was looking at her, right, because the softbox was behind her. I was looking at her, holding this reflector in front of her, and I was like, oh, that's beautiful light. Now, the issue was that when I went in there to take the shot, I was covering the reflector, right? So I was like, put the reflector on a stand, and I was like holding the camera in front of the reflector, so it was just like my arm in front of the reflector, and holding it like that, and just, you know, shooting a bunch, and hoping that the autofocus would kind of catch a few shots. And I was like, this is fucking ridiculous. This is like, you know, this is a nightmare. So I just ended up cutting a hole in the reflector, right? I was like, it was what, like £8 from eBay or something. So I just cut a hole in the reflector and was shooting through a reflector, and it was like, oh my god, this is beautiful, absolutely beautiful light. And, you know, put out, like, it was like one of my most successful articles at the time, a million years ago, on Petapixel. It was shared all over. And then within a few months, people had, you know, brands had made proper versions of the reflector with like a Velcro flap, right, on the front of it that you could poke the camera through, and then you could also put, you know, when you were done, you could put the Velcro flap back, and you could still maintain the reflector. And they were selling it for like £80. And it's funny, right? It's funny because, like, we live in a world where we can, like the internet enables that sharing, but it also limits other people from trying that themselves, right? Going out and testing these things, or, you know, what would it look like if I shot through this broken bottle? But instead of them doing that, they spend £80 on a filter from any. I'm not going to name brands names. They, you know, they can do what they want, and I've bought lens filters and stuff over the years because we're paying for convenience. I totally get it. So I think there is this interesting intersection that we're at the moment, where you have on one side you have people who are just like, AI is the future, like if you're not using it you're going to be left behind, come on old man, like this is the time, like this, you know, we've never had this much control, and I think a lot of non-creatives have really embraced that, people who struggle to get their vision out, and, you know, I get it. And you know, the argument is, well, I've never been able to, you know, share these ideas because I haven't had the skill to do it, and I've really struggled to get it. Like, I know, guys, I know that. Like, that's what we as actual creatives have to go through. We have to learn how to do it, right? We don't just go, oh well, I have this creative idea but I can't do it, so fuck it. Obviously, I can't do it. Like, no, we learn to do it. Like, if somebody wants to learn how to use color gels, it's like, well, I've got to start somewhere and start playing with it. It's like, you know, Jake, what do you think to this? Is it any good? And I'm like, well, you know, it's a start. If we bring it around here, maybe raise the height of that, go back and go away. I was like, okay, yeah, give it a go. But instead, people just cut out that process and go, well, you know, I really struggled to do gel photography, so I just did it in AI. It's wild to me, right? So you have, you know, those people on that side, and then you have this here at the moment with just this bombardment constantly of glitter lens filters and rippled glass that costs $100, and film emulation presets, and like there's that happy medium, right? And then, you know, on the opposite end you have people who are shooting on actual film with a broken bottle and doing it the hard way. No right or wrongs here. I'm just really talking about where we're at the moment with it. Yeah, what is kind of driving people, and like, you know, said, it's like the kind of nostalgia is a weaponized nostalgia, as you called it. Yeah. Can you give us a link to the article? What article did I mention? Because the article that, which article did I talk about? I think it's the article that I'm writing at the moment, which is why I was up until 7 a.m. last night, and now that I'm just dumping it onto you. So it's not finished yet. It's in several sections that I'll have to try and piece together. But I think it's interesting, right? I think it's interesting because I think we're in this commercialization of art is now more prevalent, like with games and movies and that stuff. You know, we're trying to be quick. I was listening to an interview with the guy, the art director for Marathon, a recent game by Bungie. And it's this neon kind of futuristic dystopia, sci-fi, kind of like 3D printed world. And Joseph Cross, who was the art director for that game, talks about how he was trying to remove the artist's hand from that work, right? He was trying to create this imagery and artwork that didn't look like it was created by an artist, right? And it's an interesting concept, because he's trying to remove the artist from the work, and by doing so generate something completely new and looks kind of grown rather than created, kind of thing, which I thought was a fascinating idea. And he gave some examples of I forget, again, I'll have to, my memory for names is terrible, but a very famous photographer that I'm ashamed I can't remember his name of, but basically that photographer photographs kind of industrial landscapes where it like may be shipping containers, or it may be gaffer tape, and it may be stacks of printed wood, or it may be insulation boards and that sort of stuff. And like, he has this phenomenal eye to be able to see art in the everyday that, you know, hundreds of people walk past, thousands of people walk past every day, but when he photographs it, it looks like art. And it's like, well, if it's available to everybody and everybody can shoot it, like, how come he's able to kind of weaponize the everyday, if you like? Like, how is he able to kind of interpret that and see that and put it across as art when it's really something that we all walk past every day? And I find that concept fascinating, because that's not how I work. I work, you guys know, with like 3D diagrams and that sort of stuff, and I'm kind of looking at the space that I'm in, and like, you know, how many lights can I fit in this space, and how high is the ceiling, and what's going to be the light drop off if I'm using a 2-foot panel versus a 4-foot tube, and like, so it's, you know, I'm kind of building the lighting before I've even picked up the camera. Right, so I'm kind of crafting this image before I've even picked up the camera, whereas others are kind of, you know, crafting it on the fly and seeing what they see, you know, in the everyday. So I find that whole dichotomy of art and where we are with it now fascinating, because it's so available to us, right? You know, we can just shoot whatever we want and share it instantly and get that instant feedback, which I think is fascinating. Yeah. Give us a link to the article, please read it with the hole in it, exactly the article, the hole in the reflector. Oh, okay, yeah, we can find it, yeah. Let's have a look. Yeah. I presume I got to be careful what I type in with that, yeah. So it's photo reflector with hole. Oh, here we go. Simplest, most effective. Boom, there we go. Oh my god, 10 years old. 10 years old. Yeah. Wow, Jesus Christ, 10 years ago. That is nuts. Yeah, simplest, most effective one light set I've ever used. But this is all it is, right? This is because this is one light, right? So one light behind her, and then I'm just shooting through a hole in a reflector. Look at the light quality on that. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah. So this went viral at the time. Everybody was, you know, was kind of testing it out. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, proper old school. Yeah, I'll give the link in chat. Yeah. But yeah, and it just like cost you nothing, right? Cost you absolutely nothing to make. It's just like £6 from eBay or something like that. I think I popped a link in here originally. There's no way that link is still viable. Yeah. So, and like, it was just like he had like 50 or something in stock, and it was just sold out instantly. It's funny. Yeah. Again, if I'd been smart enough, I would have bought 50 of them and cut a hole on them, and then sold them for twice the price. But yeah. I'm a better businessman than I am. I'm a better artist than I am businessman. Yeah, but there you go. It's just even a crappy. That's the old wine-coloured Bowens softboxes. That's funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, there'd be an old Bowens head back there. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, beautiful light from that. Absolutely gorgeous light from that thing. Yeah. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, take a look. I mean, and play with it yourself, right? Because it is something that, yeah, like I said, you pick up a reflector like that for, you know, like probably £10 now. But yeah, one thing that's interesting about that setup is that you like the key light. You are the key light holding that reflector, so you need to be kind of playing with how close and far you are from her. So because the softbox is behind her, and if you obviously turn that up, you're like, oh, okay, it's too dark in the front. If I turn up that softbox, it kind of bleaches out through here, right? So you have to kind of move yourself closer and further away from her to increase the brightness of the shot. You can't just go, oh, I'll just open up the aperture and make it brighter, because it blows out from behind her. So it's kind of interesting kind of sweet spot. You're trying to get that sweet spot between it not blowing out too much and losing all the data there. And I would say, you know, if I could give you one tip, it would be to kind of purposefully underexpose it in camera, knowing that you can bring up the shadow data later on, because it's very difficult to bring back blown out highlights, but it's far easier with our digital cameras today to bring up darker shadows, right? So if I could give you any advice, it would be to kind of underexpose it so that we don't burn out too much of the model here, right? And then, you know, yes, her face will be slightly darker, but then just boost it up a little bit in post. It's going to be safer, in my opinion, than trying to save any of those highlights that you would pump up. Hey Lynn, hopefully, sorry, I didn't see your message before, but hopefully that kind of makes sense. But like I said, the main premise there is you moving with the reflector. I have it on a stand there, but that's really just so I could take pictures for BTS. When I was doing the shoot, I was hand holding it. And I don't know what you guys shoot, but at the time I was working in a busy studio where we would do all sorts, right? We photograph like headshots for corporate stuff, or family shots and kids shots and that sort of stuff. I will say that using the reflector, you just put like a big softbox up behind children, and then you have that reflector, and you can get some great expressions with children, because like you're playing like peekaboo with that reflector through the hole and that stuff, so you can see them kind of like trying to look in and that sort of stuff, and so you can get some really cool shots playing with the kids with it as well. So it's not, you know, it's not just for beauty. It's pretty versatile. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there's any downsides. I don't really think there's too many downsides, other than focusing. I suppose focusing is a downside because it's very backlit compared to what you're seeing in camera. So the camera is like struggles with that very backlit, bright softbox behind. Yeah. But yeah, if you've got any questions on it, then I can certainly answer them while I'm here. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You just make sure the hole is just big enough for the lens. You don't want it, you know, too much. The only kind of weird thing that may happen is going to be the catchlights in the eyes. It's kind of interesting, but yeah, I think these are kind of low quality images for the website. You see the catchlight? So it's kind of weird, right? Because it's like, well, Jake, you're holding a circular reflector, yet the catchlight is square. Because you've got to remember that the reflector is reflecting the softbox, and that is the catchlight in the eye, right? So I'm using a square softbox here. So I suppose if you were doing it, maybe like the best thing to do would be maybe try a big octa, and that would mean that the big octa would be reflected more evenly in the round reflector. Yeah. So you would probably get a round catchlight in the eye. Yeah. And then that dark spot is not me. That's her being reflected in her own eye. So it's her silhouette against the softbox being reflected into the reflector that's then being reflected in her catchlight in her eyes. It's wild. It's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. But that's what it is. Yeah. So this isn't me. This is her. Yeah, in the catchlight, which is bizarre. Yeah. Yeah. Spot focus might be good to use. I do tend to use spot focus. Yeah. What do you normally use, Andre? Yeah. Evening, by the way. Yeah. What do you normally use? Yeah. That's what I use. Yeah. The catch light is 2/8 notes. 2/8 notes. Not sure what you mean by that. Had to use peaking to focus my Sony if really backlit. Is that right, Alan? Yeah. Yeah. You guys that shoot mirrorless, and specifically you guys that used to shoot DSLRs and now shoot mirrorless, do you find it tricky, like harder now to focus, like with backlit images, or not? I mean, I'm shooting with a GFX, Fuji GFX, which is obviously mirrorless and focusing, but I don't know whether it's because it definitely hunts way more than the Nikon, and I don't know whether that's a Fuji thing or whether it's a mirrorless thing or what. I know there was some concerns about autofocusing on the mirrorless, especially with tricky situations like bright lights and that sort of stuff. Yeah, musical notes. Oh, is that? Yeah, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah. Kind of curious as to what you guys have found with mirrorless cameras. Is it like is there things that, like Alan said here, he said you had to use peaking on my Sony if it's really backlit, so Alan's aware that that's kind of an issue. And to be fair, it's an issue on all cameras, DSLRs as well. But I was just kind of curious if it was something that you guys noticed being an issue. Yeah. So Andre says I use Canon 6D and 60D. Oh, do you? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because that's what I found on the GFX, and I was kind of curious as to whether it was a Fuji issue or whether it was a mirrorless issue. Yeah. 80D Canon. Okay. We used Canon in the studio for years, right? I mean, like the 5D Mark II was the absolute workhorse, and credit where credit's due. That thing was good at focusing, right? Because it was like screaming kids running around, backlit, whatever you could throw at it. That old DSLR. I mean, it's old now, but it was like groundbreaking at the time. That 5D Mark II, and we had the old classic 24-70 mil on it. Yeah, that was a workhorse. That thing. Focus on that was really good. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird. When I was working full time in the studio, we shot Canon, we used Capture One, and we used PCs. As soon as I left, I ended up shooting Nikon, Lightroom, and Mac. So, and to be fair, that's what I was shooting when because I was shooting both full time in the studio and shooting for myself outside of the full time job. Yeah, so it was kind of weird that there was this kind of switch over between shooting Canon, Capture One, PC during the day, and then after work it would be Nikon, Lightroom, Mac. Yeah, kind of weird. Yeah. Okay. So then, hopefully that answers any questions about that. I'm trying to think. I haven't shot this in a million years, but I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was an issue or trouble, or something to be mindful of. I think only the focusing. You're adjusting the exposure with your feet, right? So like some of these are on an 80mm like this, right? But I was shooting pretty wide, like maybe even wider than 50mm, so that I could come in close, right? So that it would brighten up the image. Because if you're like with the reflector stood way back, trying to shoot it on an 85mm, it's not going to work, right? Because there's not going to be enough light hitting the reflector and then bouncing back onto her. So like the shot, as you can see, is very close. Yeah, in here, right? Like you can see how kind of close it is. So definitely, I think I was just being lazy on the 24 to 70. But yeah, if you're going to do it, you need to be closer to the model than you would perhaps be normally doing. And you can see here it's kind of distorting the face a little bit, but you can work with it. Yeah. 10 years, wow, crazy times. Okay. So that's me ranted about that. I got that off my system. GoPro a few weeks ago mentioned this, which was kind of making this more of a modular system, which I thought was kind of interesting. So they're bringing these GoPros that you can have these kind of cinema level lenses on it, more so, but you can see how small the chip is. So it's kind of like, I respect the idea. I mean, they look cool, right? They do look really. I mean, I presume this is like a battery pack thing here, and then you got the actual GoPro in there, and then you can change the lens and that sort of stuff. So I think that's a cool idea. I think that it's kind of niche, right? Because you would just buy a proper camera, with the greatest respect, at some point, right? You would just get a proper camera if you were going to shoot something arty-farty, I don't know, something like that, then fine. But I think if you were, shooting niche stuff where you were trying to get action cam stuff, but higher quality with more lenses and that sort of stuff, then cool, right? Cool. I don't think this is going to pop off in the mainstream though. Yeah, because like a shot like this, like, oh yeah, it's really cool, but like you would just use a proper camera, right, with an actual chip that wasn't a postage stamp. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. What are the comments on this? There's no electrical contacts on the lens mounts, means no autofocus. There's a lot of M43 lenses without aperture rings. It's electronically controlled. This camera isn't made for those lenses. Okay, I thought I could see electrical contacts on there. Oh no, he's right. Yeah, just a bare disc. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I mean, a bunch of cinematographers are used to that anyway. Yeah. Plus with a wide angle, f number, they kind of get away with it a little bit. But 11 million back to read or write. Yeah, $600 for a GoPro. Fair. Yeah. Interesting. Yes, because it's a good point. GoPro. I mean, I bought a GoPro a million years ago. I know. I don't think Vlad's in here, but Vlad uses his GoPro to death, and gets beautiful shots from it, which always amazes me. But typically, when you're buying a GoPro, you're not expecting it to get busted, but like you're using it in a situation where you're like, I can live with this getting destroyed or whatever, right? When we start getting into the $600 for a camera, you're like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think I would spend $600 on something else. But again, I think it's cool that they're innovating and trying something new. And I think if you are in a situation where you need the extra variety, quality of lens and angle, and that sort of stuff, and it's going to be strapped to the side of a car going through the desert, this makes sense, right? This makes sense, because losing this $600 camera is far more comfortable than losing a 12 grand cinema camera, or more, 25 grand cinema camera, right? I'm not saying it's going to be the same quality, but you could still get a half decent shot with it for sure. Yeah. There was an interesting video by Tony Northrup about the new GoPro, its weakness, and the probability reason for it. If you have a link, Steve, or if there's anything that kind of stood out to you, because that'd be, Northrup about the new GoPro, its weaknesses, probably the reason for it. Yeah, okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah, I'd certainly be intrigued to see that. It's crazy when you see the chip of that GoPro. It's tiny, right? I mean, is that smaller than Micro Four Thirds? It seems minuscule. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Yeah, if you have a link, Steve, yeah, let me know. I'd be, or if not, give me the summary of what you heard or what you thought was interesting about it. Yeah. I'll just mention this because GoPro being GoPro, like it didn't take them long. It didn't ProPhoto create this snap thing, like literally exactly the same, and then Godox just rips it off moments later. I don't know. I'm in two minds that we've all been privileged to a cheap knockoff of something from time to time, right? I get it. I don't know. It's just getting shameless now. It's just getting shameless. I could be wrong, right? Maybe Profoto didn't come up with it. I just know that I was really impressed with the Profoto softboxes that I was using last year or something like that. These things, like these snap things, absolutely wild. And the Profoto ones are gorgeous, beautifully made, expensive, right? Let's not mince our words. So I get it, but it took Godox all of 8 minutes to copy it. Yeah. On B&H, let's see. Okay, so what do we got then for, what are they called on there? So this is the Profoto Snap softbox. What is it like? I don't know what it's called. All right. Photo, video, experience of products, video workflow, shop. Okay, yeah, shop, yeah. Modifiers. There we go. Soft reflectors? No. Grid. Softboxes. Click. Is that what it is? Is that what they're called? Click. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think that's it. Or is Click the baby ones as well, right? Like for the oh, these are the big boys. Yeah. Oh, that's the Click one, which is the baby one for the with the handle on it. Yeah. I wonder what they're called. Either way, they're going to be pricey, right? I've got a couple of them here, and it's crazy how easy it is to put them up. You remember, I'm sure, like some of you guys are a little bit older here will remember chasing a softbox around the studio for 20 minutes trying to get the spokes in, right? Yeah. Without poking your eye out as well. Let's not forget. Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was called something. Maybe not. But yeah, either way, they're going to be like 200 quid, aren't they? Let's be honest. They're going to be at least 200 quid versus, what was the Godox one? 60 quid. Now, granted, these are only S-fit, right? So yeah. Pretty cool, though. Pretty cool. Let's have a look. Thank you, Steve. I'll have a look. Let's see what he says. We can use GoPros. We can send shockwaves through the stock market while announcement of this new GoPro cinema camera. Let's stock jump with question legitimacy, hype going around. Okay. Look at those lens mount, menu mount. Okay. So what's the? Okay, so it looks like he was given. He was fairly strict on it. Yeah. For trying out the GoPro mission. Okay, so. Looks like GoPro may not survive. Yeah. Okay. That is tiny, isn't it? Yeah. I'll have a look at that later. Yeah. But yeah, Steve, if you've got any notes that you heard from him that you can share, like his main concern, because you're saying that he was obviously, I mean, the title, right? GoPro's new camera can't save the sinking ship. So GoPro was selling cameras hand over fist 10 years ago. I mean, they couldn't make them fast enough. Everybody had one, and yeah, I think GoPro has probably been struggling for a while with regards to trying to reinvent the wheel with it, and yeah, it's just didn't quite make it right. Like they had their niche, but it's almost like the product was so good to begin with that people didn't really need to upgrade. Right, you could get in fairly early, spend a couple £100, and it's like you're done. Because as soon as GoPro tried to, which I presume is the point that he's making here as well, as soon as GoPro tries to go any more advanced, which is exactly the point that I've just clicked onto here, you need to spend more money to get a new GoPro with a nicer screen and a camera mount and more tech in it. Well, the price goes up, and then as soon as the price goes up beyond £300, £400, £500, then like I may as well just get a proper camera. So that's probably the argument that he's making there. Yeah. Thank you for that, Steve. I will take a look at the. I just watched it, and he pulls it apart. They just added a mount. The lens are designed for bigger sensors, so may not resolve down to smaller sensor. Really, Steve? Really? So the lens is okay. Yeah, I take your point. Yeah. So it's like putting like a medium format lens on like an APS-C camera or something like that, where it's like you're losing tons of the actual lens detail as it's made for a bigger chip. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. Good point. Where do we get to? We're talking of cinema cameras and that sort of stuff. Nikon teases the impending arrival of the autofocus Z lens cameras. They don't really show anything other than the fact that this is kind of interesting because a few years ago now, Nikon bought Red, the cinema camera, whatever you want to call it, with the video chip and all that sort of stuff and the tech that comes with that. So it's really interesting to see them teasing the cinema lenses for the Z cameras. And Nikon has released a video teaser that appear to be autofocus equipped Z cinema lenses. That could be wild. That could be like, if those things are good, that would easily push me over the edge to get one of them mirrorless. And when I mean good, like what do I mean by that good? What do I mean? I mean like lenses that have, or a final image that has a little bit of something special to it, right? At the moment, the D850 is an incredible camera, granted 10 years old, but is an incredible piece of kit, and it creates gorgeous images. And people will go, "Oh, Jay, I can't believe you're using the old tech." And it's just like, you just said you loved that image that you saw of mine. I just saw you leave a comment going, "Oh my god, this is incredible! Love this." What the fucking difference does it make what I shot it on? Like, why you just said you love the image. Why you hung up on the camera, right? But the cinema lenses, and a couple of us in here have been playing around with vintage lenses. We've been talking about vintage lenses and the analog look and reproducing that. It'd be interesting to see if they've done something sexy with these lenses. And what I mean by that is, a bunch of modern films are shot on vintage lenses to give it more of an organic and human look to it. And we spoke about, was it Greg Fraser? Is that his name? From June and Batman, and now with Hail Mary, shooting on these old lenses like Helios lenses and stuff, and to give it a certain look. So if they kind of bring out these lenses and it gives this gorgeous cinematic quality in one of their Z9 or Z9 or whatever, could be wild. So we'll see. We shall see. They've literally given nothing away. Yeah, they've given nothing away. Yeah. But and making them autofocus as well. We'll see. Yeah. of course, one of the bigger pieces of news in the last couple of weeks was DaVinci Resolve now being able to accept RAW files, right? And talking about cinema and that sort of stuff. And this is interesting. This is really interesting, and it's. I mean, Adobe have got to be sweating, right? Adobe have got to be sweating. Now, is there anybody in here that uses DaVinci Resolve already? Does anybody, or has anybody heard of it, used it, tested it, thought about it, only made aware of it since this announcement? What do you guys think to DaVinci Resolve? Now, if you've not heard of it, this is a free piece of software. Like 90% of the software is free, and I think if you want to use some of the more advanced, and I mean very advanced tools for cinematography, then I think you spend like a $250 for a lifetime license or something, right? But this is free. DaVinci Resolve is free, right? And it's very, very powerful video tool that also enables third-party plugins. And some of those are incredible. Some of those plugins are incredible. And this is one of the reasons why it's so popular and DaVinci Resolve is so kind of in the mainstream. A, it's free. B, it allows for third-party plugins to be used with it. And some of those tools are very, very powerful color tools, like color grading tools, which major Hollywood films use, right? So, this is kind of counter to Adobe, who is very kind of closed off. Sure, you can buy plugins for, but they really want you to be going through the Adobe Store and all that sort of stuff, and you can kind of bolt them on to Photoshop. I got a couple in there. We've tested Honoric and Boris Effects and that sort of stuff. So you can use the third-party tools in Photoshop, but it seems to be that there are some very, very powerful color grading tools in DaVinci Resolve that are used at the highest levels. And granted, those third-party tools are expensive, but this is a very powerful tool that anybody can kind of download and use for free. Steve says, I downloaded it years ago, but not that user-friendly for civil video editing I was looking for. Okay, fair comment. Yeah, so Leo says, I've used it years ago because I love some of the curves like luminosity, saturation, etc. Yeah, I mean, again, like Vlad, who is in here, is always on about some of the color curves and that sort of stuff that I think is kind of lost in Photoshop, is seen as maybe a little bit basic for some. So yeah, I would say you're not alone there, Leo. I would say that people use it for some of the tools in there for extracting color and that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was always easy to use for raw files in photography. Okay, only use it for video, not stills yet. Andre, so you use it. Okay. So Andre, you're kind of a interesting use case here then, because you already use it for video. So it should be a fairly easy transition to you. Now, Steve says up here, downloaded it years ago, but not that user-friendly for simple video. Yeah, this is a completely different infrastructure, right? Completely different to what many of us are used to with the Adobe world with layers, right? These guys use nodes, not layers, and it can be pretty confusing if you're not familiar with it, right? So you basically chain together the nodes like left to right type thing rather than stacking the layers. And I'm sure if you've used it for a little bit, it becomes fairly intuitive. But what is this image, by the way? What are we doing? What is that? What are we? Distracted by that. So incredibly powerful, but if you're familiar with the Adobe universe, like myself and many others, right, this is a big step, right? And look, I'll be honest, it is tempting. It is tempting, but at the moment, the way with me and my work, I want to be able to shoot, and I want to be able to go, right, I know how I want my images to look in post. I know the process that I use in Lightroom, and I know the process I use in Photoshop. I'm just gonna do that, right? Should I sit down and spend a little bit of time learning this and using this? Probably. Am I going to? Probably not. Uh, and look, I think Adobe is going to ride the wave of kind of grandfathered in people like myself who are like, should I learn something new? Like Affinity, right? We did it a year or so ago with Affinity, and it's just like, oh my god, it's just like Photoshop. It's just as good, and it costs next to nothing. And should we all learn that? And I mean, isn't Affinity free now? Didn't it get bought up by Canva and is now free with just an email to Canva? So look, I think Adobe is living off its grandfathered creatives like myself, whereas newer kids coming into the market, they're going to be downloading free stuff, right? Now, I don't know. I haven't pirated a copy of Photoshop in a very long time, right? I've been paying for the Creative Cloud, and look, those of us who are old enough know that it was pretty damn easy a million years ago, right? It was just like you could just went on the internet and looked for code serial number for Photoshop, boom, job done. But like back then, Photoshop was like $1,300 or something. It was very expensive, and for a young creative student, it wasn't going to happen. It just yeah. But if I'm being honest, I think part of Adobe's plan was I think they put a few of those codes out there. They knew what they were doing, right? They knew what they were doing. If you I think if you were making money in a business, commercial, art direction, or production and that sort of stuff, sure, they were going to make sure that you were paying for a code. But I think for students and that sort of stuff, I'm pretty confident that Adobe put a bunch of cracked codes on the web for people to circumvent and get used to the product, right? Because now, if they did, it was a smart move, because now you have an entire generation of photographers who are sucking on the teat and can't do anything about it. It's like, I'm too old to learn something new, right? So it makes sense. But if you've got young people coming into the industry now, there's a couple of things. One, and I've spoken about this, I wrote that article for ProPhoto, and I'm trying to be respectful to their very large flash market that they already have. When I was talking about the new LEDs, the L600Cs that I was using, but in that article I go, look, if you're a young person, young photographer coming into the industry now, are you really going to buy a brand new set of flashes? You're probably not. The reason being is because if you're going to get asked to shoot video in today's market, you are going to get asked to shoot video. I get asked to shoot video. I've never shot video in my life. I don't show it. I don't advertise it. I don't promote it. It's not on any of my websites or Instagram or anything. I do not shoot video. I have no interest in it. Do I get asked for it? Yeah, I get asked for it. Right? People like young photographers now are going to have to shoot video, and I say have to. Maybe it's not a big deal for them, but if they're going to shoot video, they're not going to buy both flash and ambient lights. They're not going to buy both flash and LEDs. They are just going to buy LEDs. So I do think that the newer generation coming along, learning DaVinci Resolve, like if you're 18 now, like, do I learn Adobe Photoshop or do I learn DaVinci Resolve? I don't know, man. I think you got to pick your battles, but it would probably make more sense, right? It'd probably make more sense to learn this, because people are going to have to shoot more and more video. That's just the way it is now. Yeah. Only use it for video, not stills. Yeah, it's got many windows and things to use, very over the top bit. Yeah, it's like it looks a lot. Yeah, it looks a lot. Yeah, things to use, many things to use. I can't use it on my iPad for quick edits use. Okay, so you're really fairly confident in there for video already. Yeah. Adobe gave away free copies of their old CS. You are right. It was on a page Adobe put on some time back. So yes, you get it for free. So really, you could. Okay. Yeah. And look, it's like, it's marketing as old as time, right? What I call heroin marketing, right? Where I have a free sample and on the house, have a free sample and no worries, and then you're hooked, right? I mean, Apple's growth is down to that same marketing and business model, right? They injected Apple Macs into every college that they could, that they could get their hands in, and like made it damn near impossible for colleges and education to say no to having Apple Macs in their colleges or whatever. And that's why I still use one to this day, because that's what I grew up on. I grew up on learning Photoshop on an Apple, and that's why I've given Apple all that money over the years. That's why I've given Adobe all that money over the years. I think these companies have got to be targeting the next generation, and I think we're seeing Godox doing it. I think with their Lightmons brand as well, they're getting in on that YouTuber live streaming kind of young person thing, getting that brand in there. And look, I think that's going to be the way to go. Now, if DaVinci Resolve can kind of do something like that for young people, or maybe they don't need to. Maybe it's just if they're not in the Adobe ecosystem, maybe this isn't complicated for them, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think competition is good. Competition is good, and Adobe is being pounded, absolutely pounded. And I think Adobe has spent a ton of money on AI, where they famously bought up millions of photos. I don't think Sin is in here tonight, but Sin, who's normally in here, said that he got like $1 for one of his images that Adobe bought up, and it went into the AI birthing pool, right, for Firefly and all that sort of stuff, because Adobe, being the big boys that they are, had to play by the rules, as it were, and they couldn't just steal other people's images, so they bought wholesale stock imagery, spent tons and tons and tons, millions on buying stock imagery to build their Firefly AI, and it's there, right? But there's a million and one other AI options. They don't hold any market on Firefly. It's like, why would I use Firefly over, I don't know, the 5 other popular ones that we can all use, right? So I think Adobe spent a ton of money on AI, and they are definitely going to be on the back foot with this for sure. Yeah, again, with like Canva and Affinity being free and this being free, don't know. Now at some point these guys have to charge, right? And Unreal Engine is another great example of a free piece of software that is one of the most powerful pieces of software out there, and it's free, right? Now, as soon as you start making over $1 million, you got to start paying for it. I think you give them 5% or whatever it is. You need to look into it. But Unreal Engine is used in damn near every game and every movie there is, right? But it's free. It's just crazy to think that you can use like Hollywood level software for free. I mean, it'll probably break your PC, but you're not firing that up on the iPad or anything. But it's crazy, absolutely crazy that this tech is free. Yeah. So some of you, I'm guessing, have used it. Some of you mentioned that you have used it. Some of you have mentioned that it's just like pretty complicated, and I totally get it. It looks complicated to me too. A couple of people have messaged me over the last few weeks and gone, oh god, yeah, I really have to use it because I'm sick and tired of Adobe having me buy the short and curlies. I get it. So if anybody starts to use DaVinci, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on it, how you're getting on with it, and look, some of you have even tested it. It's free, right? So it didn't cost you anything to try it out. Yeah. This just goes into a couple of things that we were kind of saying, and this is the node system. Here goes the node system that I was talking about, and rather than layers. And again, the coloring and all this sort of stuff, like everything about it is completely different to Adobe. So, yeah. Terry says, I think DaVinci is watermarked on export if you're on free. Is it, Terry? No, I don't think so. Who does that? Ivoto does that, doesn't it? So this is, yeah, so I mean, look, this is just some bot telling me this, but yeah, the free version of DaVinci Resolve does not put a general watermark on your exported videos. Okay, watermark images. It doesn't typically give me an image, but it is fully functional editor, but will apply DaVinci Resolve Studio watermark if you use specific. Okay, so I think there's certain features in there, which I thought was just the AI features here. It is a fully functional editor, but it will apply DaVinci Resolve Studio watermark if you use specific paid studio-only features, such as advanced noise reduction. Okay, lens flares. Weird. Okay. Lens flares or AI-based masking tools. So yeah, like my understanding of it is that, yeah, it doesn't, and I think there's only specific features. So yes, Terry, you are right, but only on some of the high end features, yeah. Yeah. As for DaVinci for Resolve's most advanced tools, like the aforementioned robust color editing tools, these are somewhat bizarrely not included with the photo page. Instead, users must navigate over to the color tab where they can tweak all sorts of things to their heart's content. Okay, so so it's not fully integrated yet, but this is version 1.0. When I say fully integrated, I mean if you want to do anything fancy with the color, you have to take the image over into the video section apparently. But it is a video editor, right? So it's going to be timelined left to right, which is what we can see here, right? This is what puts most of us off when we coming from Adobe Photoshop, where we have just some layers down the right here, and then we're like, what? So this may be, you guys probably can't read it here, but we've got like white balance, and we've got contrast. So you add another node for contrast. Then I don't know, this could be grains. You add another node for that, which sits on top of this. And then we've got gradients here. So sharpen at the end here. So it's done. Yeah. Yeah, I can't see myself downloading it. I got enough going on at the moment without learning that. Yeah. So mixed feelings here. Definitely not Lightroom or Photoshop by a long shot. Has anyone actually confirmed? Oh, there was some references in the article I read earlier on saying it doesn't support all RAW files. So again, that's going to happen as well. I remember when it's like years ago when I first bought the D850 brand new, it was like, boy, I can't use the RAW files in Lightroom. Yeah. Has anyone actually confirmed the program that it doesn't support Leica and Sigma? It just used DNG. It's been supported file type video editors for years. Yeah. Article is wrong. I shoot Leica and DNG's come in fine. They always have. Okay. Yeah. So it seems like the article is not comprehensive. Yeah. The article states a proprietary RAW supports so it shouldn't be surprising. Accepts them like a proprietary file DNG. Okay. So yeah. So look, version 1, right? Nobody should have expected this to be flawless out the gate. You'd be mental if you were. So, again, competition's good, right? Competition is good. Yeah. Okay. So let me just talk about this then. So a couple of months ago, I was at the UK photo show here, and I had a meeting with a very nice lady from Godox who was there, and she was showing me some of the new stuff. Andre just added it's still in beta. Okay, Andre, gotcha. Okay, then fair enough. All right, so again, they're probably taking on feedback and that sort of stuff, and maybe when it comes out of that, yeah. I mean, it could just be in beta for the next 10 years. You know what some of these things are like, but yeah, you're right. It's still in the working through the, ideas phase for sure. Yeah. Let's go back to this. Yeah. So a couple of months ago, spoke to a nice lady from Godox who spared me some time to talk about a couple of new products that were coming out, a couple of like LED light wand that would flash as well, which was like, not really sure what that's for. But she also showed me this brand new light that they had called Palette Lab, and there was no information about it at all. And she was like showing me screenshots that she'd taken on her phone from like a meeting with like images on the wall, all that sort of stuff. So it was definitely in early stages. And I'd kind of chat with you guys about it at the time on stream, and I was going, sounds good. Palette Labs, totally new brand for Godox, totally new line of lights. Wonder what it's going to be like, right? So it was starting to get drips and drabs coming out now. Nothing really concrete, but let's just go over a couple of things that I kind of saw. Sadly, this guy tells us absolutely nothing, but I'm going to show it to you anyway.
Guys, to Palette Lab, which is our newest color engine system. Palette Lab has the ability to produce excellent whites, stellar performance in color reproduction. We have SSI scores up to 92, and we can reproduce up to 280 trillion color possibilities. So this is why Palette Lab, the same way an artist has its palette to choose many colors from, you guys going to be able to dial in very specific colors that you would not see in other types of color engines. So basically, Palette Lab is available on 150, 200, 300, 600, and 1200 watt lights. So basically, this color engine system has two main capabilities. We have very, very good color reproduction, excellent SSI, TM30, TLCI, CRI scores. So even the most demanding professionals are loving the kind of whites in CCT that you're gonna get, in CCT mode that you're gonna get out of this light. But also Palette Lab can do many different types of colors that you're not gonna see in other kinds of color engines. So everyone's loving it, and you have the ability to have many form factors. So we have palette on the ML150 RF, 200 and 300. So basically, very compact light and two Bowens lights without weather protection for creators. And we also have the NOLED palettes, which are the PL600 RF and PL1200 RF, which are IP65 rated. They have DMX chips inside, and they have a fantastic all-in-one design, so you have no ballast. Check this out. Like, this is the whole unit with the power supply inside. So it's a great design, great features, great output, and excellent color reproduction, and many color options to choose from. So everyone's loving the kind of light that they're getting out of this color engine, and I invite you guys to check it out more.
So, literally told us absolutely nothing. Now, I think this is a brand new product, and in fairness to this guy, he may not know anything, right? He may not have anything to share. So with the greatest respect, like it's got lots of colors, and you can choose lots of colors. 280 trillion. I really should tell my wife to stop messaging me in case she says something that you guys shouldn't see. So Jesus Christ, I should really shout next door. Yeah, like, what are we talking about? What did he 500 trillion? I know, man, I know. So when I would do stuff for Rotolite, and I would go, 16 million colors, people would go, shut up, man, he's just not got 16 million colors. Like, this guy's got his work cut out from him. If he's going to try and prove 250 trillion colors or something like that, yeah. Because that's a big step up, man. I thought 16 million was a lot. This is impressive, right? So it's bigger number, better, right? And says, does everybody love Palette Lab? I didn't get that interpretation. Yeah, everybody loves it. So usually speaks to the fact that he's probably not been given much information, bless him. But one of the things of interest here is that the Palette Lab is going to be a chip, right? It's a new way of them making the onboard chip to actually produce the light. So Aperture famously has their Blair engine, right? Their Blair chip, which is the blue, lime, amber, indigo, and red chip, right? And they've subsequently added like 3 more to it, but that's their kind of chipset that goes in that line of lights. So Palette Lab is going to be, by the looks of it, this new way of producing light that's going to go into all these form factors. So it's kind of interesting to see them. This is not like, this is, you know, because NOLED, if you guys don't know, NOLED is the cinema level Godox. It's still made by Godox, but they rebranded this cinema level light to be called NOLED. And that's a separate thing, right? You have Lightmons, which is their other separate line, which is really kind of geared up to, you know, YouTubers and streamers and that sort of stuff. And then like we have another line here in this Palette Lab, which is interesting in that it's going to be available in all these different sizes, right? So like he talks about this baby one here, which is what, I don't know, like 100 watts or something like that. It goes up to what, you got the 300 there, which I think is what I saw at the show a couple of months ago, and the 600. Okay, you got the 900 there as well. So these are like the monoblock style, right? So I think you got the monoblocks there. We're kind of like with 2 bowens, yeah. And then you have the like the big boys there, which are the cinema level ones, the NOLED ones, which is like the 600 and 1200, right? And they're IP65, which basically means that they're kind of weather sealed, right? And that means everything apart from submerging in water is absolutely fine. And that's kind of the standard now for all cinema grade lights. And you're seeing a lot of these companies go after this top end cinema line, right? Which is what Profoto is doing with their L600s, right? They're going in there. They brought out the big LED panels, expensive panels, expensive heads, but they're targeting that top level cinema level, so like rental houses and studios and that sort of stuff, like to try and get the lights in there. And Godox is chasing that same dollar. Presumably with these 2 heads. So these top heads, 600 and the 1200, are IP65 rated, which means that these are the ones that are probably targeted for rental and that sort of stuff. Now the ones below that, which I think you've got 200 and 600 there as well. I think we got the 200 here, and then what? Maybe the 300 there. So those are going to be like the monoblocks, which are not IP rated, but will mean that they're probably going to be cheaper, right? So, you know, which is fine, right? Most of us don't need IP rated stuff, and it's great that it is, but most of us don't go outside, right? So when we're shooting with our lights, usually in the studio, so we're like, there's not much point in paying for IP65 stuff if we're not going to use it. So cool, right? So we'll see. They are, like, Godox are trying a lot of different products at the moment. Some are going to argue too many, and we'll get onto that in a second with this panel here. But yeah, so Palette Lab, and I'll bring up the page here a second. I think this is just normal nowadays. Godox did it, Aperture did it. They just bought budget lights and premium ones. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be doing it. It's just that. So what Aperture broke away? What are they called now? Gripes? What's the breakaway product from Aperture called? Like the budget one? What was it called? They got their own brand. Yeah. Andre says, I understand you need better light for images, but the average human can't distinguish approximately 1 million to 10 million different colors or shades. Yeah, Andre, that's a really interesting bombshell of a comment there, because although I agree with you, it's Aperture and Amaran. Well done. Thank you, Graps. That's exactly, Amaran was exactly what I was thinking. Right. So Aperture had the high level cinema lights, and then they kind of put the same tech into their Amaran lights, and then sold them for cheaper, right? Warning. What's a warning, Steve? What's that? So I understand you better. Oh yeah. So come back to Andre's comment there. So about not being able to see the shade. So I agree with you. I do agree with you. I think that there is. I think we're able to see far more than I think maybe we realize, and this is like we have this same thing with frame rate, right? We have the same thing with frame rate, and people will go, "Oh, we're bringing out this, 120 frames or 300 frames and that sort of stuff." And the argument is, well, we can only see 24 frames a second or around that, so we don't need to see any more, right? It's like, why? These are wasted frames, right? And yes and no. And I would argue that the color thing, like the color spectrum, gamut thing, yeah. So, and like this is, out here is what our eyes can see, right? Out this big thing out here is what our eyes can see, right? And then to your point, right, let's just say for argument's sake that this palette lab could make, boom, that green color there. Wow, that's crazy. Imagine that. Like, wow, it's brand new color that our eyes can see, but we have no way of viewing that because we have to put it on a screen, right? So it's kind of like an oxymoron. So you're right. I would say that this is why, I'm very fortunate in that in my youth, I did some traveling and mountaineering and climbing, and I got to see some truly incredible sights that were just incredible, right? Very, very fortunate. I think when I was younger, I climbed up Kilimanjaro there, which is on like the equator, and I don't know, you're like 6,000 feet up or whatever it is, meters or whatever, 6,000 meters, something like that, and you're watching the sun come up, and this like dawn on the equator at that height where you're kind of on the way above the clouds and that sort of stuff. I swear to God, I saw colors that I have never ever witnessed before, right? And could well be the case, right? Because this is what we can see. All technology is in here, right? So cameras, look at CMYK. It's just like this little bit in the middle, right? Cameras, TVs, computer games, whatever you want to call it. Printing is way down here in the middle. We can't see these incredible colors that nature has to offer us, beautiful greens and blues and that sort of stuff that we literally cannot see inside, right? So I think there's this kind of dissonance between what is possible and like what is really needed, right? So to your point, let's say that the Palette Labs light could create colors out here. I'm not saying it can by any stretch of the imagination, but let's just say it could create these colors that we could see only in nature, but we have no way of capturing them with our current devices, right? So cameras and TVs and that sort of stuff can't display them. So it's a moot point. So it's kind of like this, it becomes this oxymoron, just number chase, right? And you guys will remember this 10 years ago with megapixels, right? You remember, oh my God, oh my God, you're still shooting on 16 megapixels. Oh my God, like, how shitty your image is. It's just, what are we doing? Like, no, it's absolutely fine. It's a lot of marketing for sure. But I think, you really got to be dialed in to be able to see the difference. More importantly though, you need to be extremely skilled to be able to capitalize on it, right? I've been shooting for like 25 years or something like that, shooting with gels for well over 10, 12 odd years. And like, I gotta be locked in to get some of these colors that I show you guys, right? Because it's difficult, right? You got to know what you're doing. It's a big difference between what I'm doing and what somebody who's just been doing it for 5 minutes, just throwing some gels on the wall, and we kind of get like, we're getting like these colors in here, right? In the middle from regular folk. Which is fine, but like it's not going to be for everybody. Yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. So like the trillion colors thing is just the megapixel race in my mind. Yeah. All joking aside, the US government will let people use LSD now. What? that is a tangent, Andre. But is that real? No, bullshit. No way. I know you guys just let people smoke weed everywhere over there, but And there's no way LSD is illegal. Well, I suppose you guys have like legalized meth now, don't you? Like, what is it? Like Adderall or something like that? You guys just give kids just crazy amounts of Adderall, or what is it? Like the meth, the stuff for ADHD and stuff like that. Hey Darius, how you doing, mate? You know, so yeah, so like come back to the color argument here. It is fascinating to me that, I mean, we can go outside and see colors that arguably, in all truthfulness, we have never seen before, right? Which sounds like super pretentious. I get it. I do get it. But like, I've certainly seen colors that have brought tears to my eyes because they've just been so incredibly vibrant. And it's just nuts. And they do not exist inside, right? We cannot capture them. We have no ability to capture them as of yet. So unless that changes, right, the capture device is going to have to start changing if we're going to create, what did he say, 250 trillion colors or some shit? Like, if that's the case, then we need to find, you know, some way to actually capture them and then show them, which ain't going to happen like in a very long time. Yeah. So I only just saw this. I haven't actually watched the video on this. I need to watch the video on this. But they go on to talking about, you know, colors and that sort of stuff, which is fine, and like the full spectrum. And this is what everybody's chasing right now is more colors. Right? I'm not actually sure how many chips this has, because whether they're going RGB, and are they saying that their light is a 5-chip light, which is RGB and then C and A, or whether they're saying it has multiple blues, so like 5 blues, 3 reds. I don't know what this light is doing. I haven't seen anybody anywhere talk about, oh yeah, this is a 5-chip set or 8-chip set or whatever it is. Because you remember the Pro Photo, what they're doing is they're doing RGB and then they're doing triple white, right? Which is actually really interesting because they're not doing the aperture thing, which was Blair, and then adding, you know, filling in some extra gaps as well later on down the line. I forget the other 3 chips that they added. Pro Photo is doing it with the white chips, so they're adding to the colors that they have, like the RGB that they have with the white colors. Now, look, you know, I'm not being paid to say this, but like it's a fucking impressive result. Like it is a very impressive light. I mean, you guys have to see it for yourself. But when I was shooting with it on the day, bouncing it into in a big, massive, beautiful white umbrella, and as soon as I turned that on, I was like, that's clean. That is clean. So you know, it's Emperor's new clothes, right? I mean, it's just what the color that you see is different to the color that I see anyway. That's you know, through nobody's fault. It's totally arbitrary. Yeah. We try and assign values to it, but it's a lot of it is just smoke and mirrors, really. This here as well. So they were talking about this. So what they talk about here is, so this is the coveted tungsten wavelength, right? And this is what lights try and achieve, is no gaps, right? So you can see here with this tungsten wave. So what's beautiful about the tungsten light as it captures colors, obviously because of how rich and warm tungsten is, it's pretty easy for it to render reds and oranges, right? Because it's already red and orange coming out the gate, right? It's burning metal, right? So it's already pretty easy for tungsten to create reds and oranges. Now, granted, it gets pretty tricky for it to make some of the blues, right? Because it's burning metal, so it struggles to make blues, i.e. bounce its orange light off a blue ball, right? It's like you're not going to get a ton of blue data back comparatively. But the thing that's highly coveted about tungsten light, and which is why it's still used on film sets to this day, is it's got no gaps, right? Almost no gaps. So what happens when we, you know, with kind of cheap LED lights is, you know, you'll try and get the full spectrum, but what you'll have is you'll have massive gaps, right? You'll have peaks and troughs like this, peaks and troughs like this, right? And that seems exaggerated, but in some of them it really isn't, right? You have these massive gaps in the spectrum, right? Which is terrible, right? You're better off having this very, very clean, even, like like skin tone, right? So if you're lighting somebody with tungsten light, it's beautiful skin tones, right? Because there's no gaps. If you try and light somebody, even though it's got tons of yellows here, maybe, you know, maybe more than tungsten, it's got gaps in it. So it's not as clean, right? So this is why all these companies, LEDs especially now, are trying to, you know, just trying to emulate this very clean curve. And it's not easy, right? It's not easy. And this is why they're like, there's no definitive way to do it. You got the Blair engine, you got Profoto's triple white chip, you got Godox's new Panel Labs. So we'll see. We'll see how it comes out. So yeah, here we go. We've got an example here of RGB WW, which is what, you know, a lot of regular lights use. We've got daylight here, and then what they're saying is that their color engine is going to be very close to daylight. I would be very keen and extremely keen to test this myself. So hopefully I don't burn too many bridges with my LED panel review in a second. So natural dimensionality without artificial push. I presume that's a weird translation. So again, RGBW, RGBWW Panel Lab. So we're saying that, you know, we have far richer colors here. Now, look, come on, like this. I'm not saying that they're lying here, but this is probably a fairly cheap RGB light, which is you know, very green compared to you know, this light here. I'm not saying that they're lying. I'm just saying that they've probably chosen a couple of cheap RGB lights to compare it to. Yeah. So it goes on the color space and the gamut and that sort of stuff, and it's 92% rec 2020 coverage. And okay, I need to check. I thought the Profoto was more than that as well. Interesting. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, so we got the 1200 and the 600. So these are the waterproof ones, if you like. They're not waterproof, but IP65s. Got 300 and 200s, and then the regular 150 baby one down there. Now these are all cobs, right? So single cob lights. So all modifiable, and I think all S-fit. I don't know whether this one is, but it might be baby S-fit or the G-fit. Yeah. So you've got the curves again and that sort of stuff. Okay, so I didn't actually see this video at the top here, so I will actually watch that in my own time, even if it is a video. Maybe it isn't. Maybe they haven't added it. Like I said, so I had this web page saved, and it was blank for weeks and weeks and weeks, and they've just added something to it. So we'll see what they do with it. Yeah. Okay, so what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about, let's have a look here. So I want to talk about this new light that Godox has sent me, which is the LiteWafer UP150R, which is an LED light panel. So I've got it here, and I'm just going to try and I'll raise the desk here in a second, and I'll try and get a camera on it. External camera on it, and we can go through it. So I'm just going to do that now. So I'm going to set up this secondary camera here. 2 seconds. Disappearing, right? Give me 2 seconds, guys. Let's have a look. Because it connects as soon as you turn on OBS, but I didn't want it just running permanently whilst I was talking. So let's have a look. Where is it? Accessibility, VPN, battery, Bluetooth. Was it general? I think it's is it general? Oh, AirPlay continuity. Let's have a look. Oh, bingo. Okay. Weird. Okay. Right. Oh, cool. It works. Okay. So. Okay. You guys can see the light here, right? I'm going to try and move the microphone. I know I'm going to be talking away from it. But yeah, you guys can see the light there. Hopefully. I think you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah. And yeah, the microphone working. Okay, cool. Right. So this is the yeah, this is it here. So the LiteWafer 150R, right? Now, thing first off is going to be this connector here, yeah. So I'm just going to bring this. So this is how it connects to the light, right? They give you this bracket. It comes in the box with this bracket, right? And then this. I haven't scuffed this. I haven't like, Jake, what the hell are you doing? This is the bracket that it comes with, okay? And then it comes with this pin that goes into that bracket. So it's essentially like a right angle bracket, and then that pin sits in there on the piss like that, right? So you can see the pin there, right? And that goes in, and then it tightens up there. Again, I've done that right. That's all the way in. Yeah, that is definitely all the way in. And it sits like that. Okay. Now, one of the reasons that pin is long like that is so that, you know, obviously you could spin this round. And mount it vertically, right? So you can spin it around, mount it vertically, and then it gives you clearance down at the bottom here, so that, you know, you can angle it in and out. So Andre, yeah, your point there should be shorter. Yeah, and this is their way of kind of getting around it, is because they're, you know, they're trying to give it this gap here, right? And look, I agree with you, but this is that's not good. Like that is not good. Now, here's the truth of it, right? I did a shoot last Thursday. I wanted to test out this panel. I didn't have the confidence to use this above a model, right? That's the reality of it. I did not have the confidence to use this above the model like a top light. It's just no fucking way. Are you kidding me? I'm not. Like there's no way. Like there's no. There's not even anything here to attach to the light to put a metal loop in, like a safety chain, right? Which is what, I mean, not to bring it up, but the Profoto head comes with the safety chain in it that you can connect to it, right? But it has nothing to attach it here. So if I was to put this above a model and that pin, you know, that pin is just not gonna. I'm not confident in that, right? I'm just not. It's just no way. So pretty kind of disappointed on that. The other thing with this, I'll just try and turn it back a second. Which is not easy to do because you're trying to hang on to it whilst you turn it, and it feels like it's just going to fall out the whole time. Right. The other thing as well is, you guys probably can't see this, but if you try and grip the pin here, right, to try and hold on to it, this is how it locks in here, right? It's hardly got any movement in that lock, right? So if you're trying to grab the pin, it's very easy for you to accidentally unlock it and for it to come away, right? It's okay. So that's locked in because of that pin. So obviously, when I was shooting on Thursday, what I was using was this, right? So I just put this on the C stand, and then I put the pin through there, right? I may as well show you. Now, that is night and day different, right? That is night and day different. It's being gripped across the entire length of that, and it's just, you know, so that I had above the model without question, right? So that is the bracket there, right angle bracket. And look, don't get me wrong, this is a great right angle bracket that if I was to use on a light stand to have a light off to the side, this is gorgeous. I would absolutely use that. But for supporting a panel above a model as a top light, no way. Yeah, no way. There's a reason safety chains are standard in club lighting for decades. Yeah, exactly. And it's like there's no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean there isn't any chain point on there. Yeah. So honestly, accident wait to happen. Yeah, it's, like I said, yeah, the way that it's done, not great, right? Kind of tricky to put on there as well. It's four pins go into the back of that, right, and it locks in, but obviously it'll only go in one way, and there's no indicator on the back to tell you which way up that should go, right? Other brands have lines that you line up and he locks in, right? This doesn't have anything like that, so there's nothing on there to line it up. The reason I wanted to get this was because I wanted to do two panels, top and bottom, to create a very clean, even light from top to bottom, like a strip box, but without the horrendous hotspot, right? So that's what I wanted to test. So Godox actually has this. I'm gonna switch back to the main screen. 2 seconds. I mean, like, because you can see in the picture here, you think, oh, Jake's done it on the piss. He hasn't put it in properly. It's not. It's hanging out there. Yeah. So this is the point here. So they gave me this as well, and this is really sturdy. This thing is amazing. This bracket. But I will add, it doesn't come with it. It's optional, right? So this is the thing that they gave me here, and this thing is like this thing is bomb proof, 100%, right, 100%. But you can't twist it, right? So you can't mount the, like, it'll only do the light up and down. You can't twist the light to be vertical, right? So as long as you only wanted to use the panel horizontally, like this, you're good, right? You've got a little bit of movement there. You've got a nice big gap here to kind of angle the panel down. Good to go, right? Good to go. But you can't mount it vertically. I mean, you could do, but it's pointing kind of angled up, right? You can't angle it down. So has its limits, right? You see, this dude's just holding that pin with his hand there. You see that? He's just holding the pin. So this is what I wanted to test, right? This here, right? So the dual vertical. So I wanted two of these panels to get this beautiful, clean edge light. That's what I wanted to do. Now, there was some backwards and forwards, and they were like, look, we don't have the 2-panel pack in stock to ship. So they kind of sent half the packs. They did actually send me this bracket here, right? Which is this one here, right? Now I've kind of jerry-rigged this on one end to take another brand of light, which I won't mention, so that I could test it out. And I'll show you Lightroom in a second, so you can see what I was testing. But I wanted to do that. Now, it turns out that this bracket is pretty smart, right? Because you should be able to shoot it in a vertical like that, right? And you should be able to shoot it in a nice big 2x2 square. Great. So, but that bracket doesn't allow you to turn the light, right? Because I just told you that bracket will only go on one way. So you can't mount it vertically and horizontally on that same bracket. Same goes for that pin there. So look, I think that this has kind of been maybe released before time, and I would be very surprised if this doesn't change. You know, I would be surprised if this doesn't go back in the oven, because this is not like them. This is not like them, right? A couple of things here as well, like you can see in all the promotional imagery here, like the cable just comes boom out the back there, and if we go back to so they've kind of modified it since then, and it has this kind of plastic staple that's just been whacked on there, so that so the cable now no longer just goes straight down. They've kind of wrapped it around and put this kind of just screwed this plastic staple into the top here. This doesn't feel finished. This doesn't feel finished, which is a shame. It's not like them. Not like them at all. Okay. So I'll come back to the camera there a second. So let me just bring up. You did a good job to rig it better. Nicely done. Yeah. You're the testing guy, I guess. They're going to enjoy the fact that you found out all the stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of annoying because look, I get kind of asked all the time, "Oh, Jake, you only say nice things." It's like, well, it's because it's not my job to review stuff, so I only kind of take stuff that I'm interested in, right? And the reason I was interested in this was to do the dual panel thing. That's kind of why I wanted to test that dual panel LED versus a strip softbox to kind of show how nasty those hotspots are in strip boxes versus something like this double panel thing, which I think could have been really cool. So I was going to put in between a rock and a hard place here when I got this, and this was just like, I can't, in all good conscience, can't recommend it as is. Right? I just can't do it. Especially seeing as I wouldn't even use it in the review. I couldn't use it with that bracket that they gave me. It's just no way. Like model safety on set is way more important than me trying to make the product look good. Yeah, no way. So let's have a look here. So this is so I was trying to jerry rig this dual panel setup, right? So this is the bracket that I just showed you there at the back, and the panel at the bottom here that will not be named. I've kind of jerry rigged on the bottom there. This this kind of worked with this strut, and it gave me a little bit of flexibility to be able to angle it on the C-stand knuckle here. I had a little bit of flexibility, but it was kind of restrictive, right? And you can see, so this is from a different brand, right? They have a custom-made ball joint bracket, which is rock solid. I will say, absolutely rock solid. Okay. Now, during the process of this, I had a spare one of these brackets, and I actually unscrewed it to kind of jerry rig it into a tight spot. And even the screws on that are all like glued in, like cemented in. Like the attention to detail that this bracket has, and obviously the thoughts of safety that this bracket has, all these screws are all cemented into the actual plate itself. So I mean, it damn near broke the Allen keys trying to disassemble it. So, you know, it's not just, well, you know, you haven't got much room back there, you don't have much choice. This has been outstanding. This bracket that I've used, you know, because you can see I can use that bracket on the side, or I can put it, you know, straight in, or I can put like the housing on the side like that. It gives you tons of options. 2 ball joints here give you tons of flexibility, and they've got around that problem of trying to get the light further away from the stand so that you can angle it down, right, by this clever little dual ball point thing. And you can see the lines here where it's lining up the plate to the light itself. So like it can be done, right? Now in the end, I ended up not doing this at all, and I just ended up going, do you know what, I'm not going to use this strut at all, and I just ended up super clamping this bottom light to the stand, and then just putting this light on the stand on top, right? So I didn't end up using it at all, but so you can see I've got it up here. And you can see, boom, right? So actually using the boom there, booming it across over the model, and using the actual C-stand knuckle there, right? So you can see, right? So fine. The other thing that we'll talk about in a second is that it comes with this control box on like a bungee cord. I don't know. Yeah, and I know it feels like I'm being petty now, but that's not for me. That's not for me, right? And I'll just switch back to the other camera. This is it here, right? So this is the control box, and then it comes on this bungee cord here, right? Now, which is fine. But as soon as you want to move the light up and down, okay, well, come on, Jake, don't put it there. Put it lower down. I get it. But this swinging control box thing is not for me. Again, if I've used control boxes before from every other manufacturer, they've been clamped to the stand, right? So they come with like a V-lock on the back, and they lock in. They have a super clamp, custom built super clamp. You put that on the stand, and then you put it on, right? I think Aperture does that, Nanlite does that, other people do that, right? So this has a V-lock mount at the back, but it's for a battery, right? So you can put a battery on it. So like you can't use this. You can't clamp it to the stand. You just got to have it hanging there. And whenever you adjust the light height or turn it around, this fucking thing is clanging around and all sorts of stuff. It's not for me. Not for me. Yeah. I don't think that's going to be it for me. Yeah. We can have a look at that box in a second. Yeah. But you mount it on the side here again, like on the side. It's just easier just to use that pin on the C-clamp. You can see I've got the control box. You probably can't see it there, but hanging off the stand up there. Yeah. So yeah. Let's have a look. Let's come back here. Checking your scene there. Yeah. Okay. Good. Right. So, yeah. Let's have a look at that box as soon as we've got it here and we've got it set up. Let's just turn it on. We can show you. Okay. So it is nice. It comes with a super long cable as well, but it's nice that this short cable does connect directly into the control box if you're just going to be hanging it right up there with the light. You don't need the 20-foot cable, you know, there. You can just use it with the short one, which is cool, right? So it does have a very, very long one. It just plugs into the bottom there, which is the down there. So just turning that on. Okay, so one thing that's nice, so this is a full color screen, yeah, which is good, Full color screen, we got our options there. If you can see them, we got the CCT, HSI, and then the RGB white, RGBW, and then we got the gels, and then we got our effects, right? So one thing that is nice about this control system is that in previous Godox lights I've used that have had a dial. So you guys remember those? Was it the MS60s or whatever they're called, like the Coke can lights? So they have a dial to adjust the power on them, but the press or the confirm button is also when that dial is pressed down. So you would often find yourself twisting the button and then accidentally pressing. So you'd like trying to take it down 10% and you'd press it in and it would go into a different mode and that sort of stuff. What's a nice improvement on this dial is that you have to push it in from the side. So you can turn it as much as you want here and it's not going to affect it, right? But you can push it in here and that takes you into the menu. So you're not accidentally adjusting it, which is cool, right? Another nice thing on this light, which a lot of the other panels of this size don't have, is this one goes up in increments of 0.1%, which doesn't seem like a big thing, but as soon as you have it, it's difficult to kind of not have it. I was using lights on Thursday that were in the point percentages rather than whole percents. It seems like it's not a big deal, but once you have it, it's difficult not to have it. You know, especially when you get down to the lower end, where going from like 1% to 2% is a noticeable step. You know. So we got that. Obviously, the percents. We come in here. We've got obviously the Kelvin slider that we can adjust, and then coming out of there, we've got the green and magenta slider, which is the tint, right? Okay. Now, one thing to note on this particular panel, on this particular RGB panel, is that the Kelvin range goes from 1800 to 10,000. Now, I want to mention this because it's something that I'm seeing more and more companies doing, and I think that, you know, we as creatives kind of need to be aware of it. When the RGB panel has a wider Kelvin range than the daylight panel or the bicolor panel, something's off, right? Something's off. So what I mean by that is that it's my understanding that when they go above like 7,500 Kelvin here, for example, it's dipping into the RGB lights, right? Same as when we go below 3,500 Kelvin down here, which is probably the limit of the Kelvin chips. As soon as we go down below that, we are now dipping into the RGB chips, right? So those of you who remember color theory know that red and green make orange and yellow, right? So they're going to be using the red and green chips to make these very low Kelvin values, and these very low Kelvin values are outside of the bicolor of the other lights, right? So I don't know if I can try and find it here on the screen. Let's have a look. Have you guys ever come across that before, where we've seen that with other lights, where like the kind of the Kelvin range is really wide on some? So I think it's just that one. Maybe they don't do a bicolor one. Maybe they only do the full color one. Yeah. with controller, light body, yeah. Okay. Let's have a look. So, let's have a look at cob lights here. Oh, it's just been super slow for some reason. Does it want to show me cob lights down here? I'm just being, oh, it's just super slow. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So we've got the RS60. This website is super slow. I apologize if the stream is lagging. So here we go. If you guys can see the screen here. So here we go. So we got the RS60 bicolor and the RS60R, which will be the full color lights, right? Which are these little fellas here, as an example. So on the full color light, we have a Kelvin range of 1800 to 10,000, and on the Kelvin specific light, we have a Kelvin range of 2800 to 6500, right? There is just no way that the RGB light has a wider Kelvin range than the bicolor light, right? It doesn't make any sense. So it just means that what they're doing is they're kind of, fudging the numbers a little bit and going, okay, as soon as we go below 2800, we need to start adding in red and green to kind of, warm it up just to make it super rich, right? And we need to do the same on the other end when we go past 6500 up to 10. There has to be a typo, right? There has to be a typo. There's no way they're saying that goes up to 100,000. There's just no way. Has to be a typo. So yeah, up to 10,000K, they're going to turn on the blue chip, right? So now other companies didn't used to do this, and now we're seeing more and more of it, where other companies are kind of going, you know what, we can do that as well. This might not seem like a major deal to you, but it will mean that the color balancing, if you're using the full color RGB head at 1800K, it's not going to strictly be on the Kelvin range, so it's going to be outside of the white balance specific. So it's going to be very difficult if you wanted to kind of color correct that. It's not going to be in the Kelvin range. So it's just something to watch out for, right? Okay, yeah, so that's that. We got that. We got the color thing there. I don't think there's anything else on that. If anybody got any questions about stuff that you wanted to ask me about this, then do so. See, we've got the tint and we've got the Kelvin, like I said, yeah, kind of like the wide Kelvin range there. Very, very, very simple. It goes back to like the mode, takes you back to everything here. Clicking on the side there to the HSI, the hues, saturation, and intensity in point percents, which is nice, which is great, right? Nothing there. We got the RGB white, cool, and then the gels, fine. And then the FX of like police cars and paparazzi that nobody uses, right? Yeah, I don't think there's anything in the menu, speaking about it here. There's anything in the menu. So Bluetooth, DMX, got the linear curves there, the control mode display, brightness, that sort of stuff. So nothing crazy there. Yeah, nothing crazy there. But easy menu to control, like very easy to get to everywhere you want. And let's turn this around a second so you can kind of see it, what we got here on the front. So one thing that they do here with the softbox is it's pretty easy to put the softbox on with Velcro, right? It just snaps on. And the grid as well comes with a grid, which is nice. It comes with 2 densities of diffusion in there. I think we got like a full stop and half stop. So I think if you're going to be using a panel, I would say you're always going to be using the one stop diffusion there. One thing that it is nice, it's easier with the grid off, but you can, I don't know if you can see it here, but you can kind of fold these flanges in here. Right? So you just fold it down, so the top and the bottom panel are rigid. So you can kind of close it like that, and then you can do the same on the bottom one there. Yeah, and it has 2 Velcros on the other side as well. So you can essentially, I don't think it's designed to be packed away with the grid in it, but I've managed to close it perfectly fine with the grid in it, and then put it back in its box, and it's and it's fine. So it packs away very small, and thin. So it's very easy to kind of just when you take it out of the box, just pop the 4 little strips of Velcro, and then you off you go, right? So pretty easy, yeah, pretty easy like that, yeah. I think that covers everything on that. I need to go into a little bit more detail on testing some of the colors on this as well, which I'll do. Maybe I'll get a chance to do it this week, and kind of curious to see whether Kelvin range truly sits on that, whether it's a big deal or not, like how accurate they are able to reproduce Kelvin with the RGB. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's it. Like I said, I really wanted to test it with the strip in mind. Sadly, couldn't do that, but I think I will try and do that at some point, because I think it'll be worth testing. But yeah, so version 1 of the LiteWafer here is not up to the kind of standard that I would kind of expect from Godox. And you may go, well, Jake, come on, like we all know Godox is the more affordable lighting brand, so you got to give them a little bit of grace, right? You can't expect too much. You can, but when you can get a competitive panel for 50 quid more, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell, right? Now, if you're in the Godox ecosystem already, right, and you're like, Jake, I just want to use one app, right? The Godox app is very good. The Godox app is excellent at controlling all of these. You can whack this on your Godox app, and you're controlling all your other Cob lights and Godox lights and that sort of stuff, and you want everything in the same ecosystem. Fine. But and to be fair, like competitive panels who have been out for a while now, those panels are usually on sale, and that's where I'm getting that 50 quid less from. So it's like, well, come on, Jake, it's not fair versus a full price panel, but those panels have been out for a while, so they're normally on sale, right? So that's a realistic number that I'm giving you. Yeah. I would be very surprised if this doesn't go back in the oven, and some of this stuff back here doesn't get tidied up. I would be absolutely flabbergasted if that doesn't get looked at as well, because I'm not convinced that is the best solution for this panel personally. Yeah. So I will be doing a full review. I'll probably include this video in that as well, just as a byproduct. But yeah, I really hope Godox takes it on the chin, and I'd be amazed if they didn't go, yeah, do you know what, it's not right. Yeah, we need to take a second look at that, because I really want to test out that color palette, right? I really want to test out that Palette Lab lights. So hopefully they don't blacklist me for that. But I think what I'm saying is fair. I'm not being petty. I'm really not. This is units that have been out there for a while, and I think that there are safer versions of that that I'm comfortable using in the studio. And like I said, with a brand new light like this, and I didn't feel comfortable using it in the studio with my model, speaks volumes, really. Yeah. So fingers crossed that goes back in the oven. Yeah. If anybody's got any questions on that, they wanted to ask me about that, or even if I can't answer it now, I will certainly check when I'm doing the review, right? Because I got to test some of the colors and bits and pieces like that. So I will do that. Yeah. When testing, can you compare the 150 watt against the Pavo Slim 120 watt? Is the 25% increase noticeable? Great question, Steve. Thank you for that. Great question. And spoiler alert. Do I have anything here that I can show you? Maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. Oh, you guys have got a warning panel. That's weird. Let me see. I got to be careful because there was some sexy shots in here, so I got to be careful. Let me just put the full cam on here. There we go. Let me just have a look. Okay. Okay. Here you go. So this is with the two panels mounted vertically behind a scrim, right? Behind a scrim. Now this is with both panels set to 10%. One of these is 120 watts and another is 150 watts, right? Both of them are set to 10% and both of them were the same Kelvin. So I was aware that they were different powers, as in one's 150 and one's 120. So I was aware that there was going to be a variance, but I was just like, it's going to be minimal. It's going to be minimal. So if we remember from the previous image we looked at, so the Godox is at the top here and a different brand is at the bottom here. So this is 150 at the top here and this is 120 at the bottom here. So you can't really, and when you bring, I brought that scrim like an extra 12 inches away, and it becomes, almost indistinguishable, right? So that was very low then. That's 10,000. I think I was testing that. Yeah. Can't see that one down there. But I know when I actually finally did the actual setup, yeah, it was they were both at 10%. Yeah. Yeah. But there's a great question, Stephen. I will see, because what is that? Is that going to be like, what is that, like a third of a stop, a quarter of a stop, or something like that? It's going to be next to nothing, right? Yeah. My brain can't do the math, but yeah, it's good, like maybe a quarter of a stop, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. What size is the Godox LiteWafer? So this one is it's got the specs down here, so it is slightly larger than the other one that I was testing there. So here we go. So the bare light dimension here in inches, but still, that's the controller. Yeah, this is the light body here. Right, so the 150R. So what do we get? So we're at 14 inches by basically 1 inch deep, right? And then 26 across. Yeah. I will verify that as soon as I'm here, and I've got the tape measure next to me. I mean, what does it say? 13.95. Okay, I was going to say it's 14. So that's or in new money, that's like 35.5 centimeters, wide, as it were, and then long ways, we're at 27 inches there, or 69 centimeters, and then just like an inch deep. Yeah. So it is slightly bigger than the other panel. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it, right? We're going to talk about that. Yeah, if anybody thinks of anything else, let me know in the chat there, and I will check it out. But for now, let's have a look at some of these images you guys have been shooting. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. So we will look at the previous weeks. In fact, should we do that now? Should we look at, because the previous weeks people with the stream got cancelled. Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go. Previous week. All comments. Okay. Oh yeah. Here we go. Okay, let's go for a few of these. Yeah, we got some good ones here. I might continue standing up for now. So one from Darius here. A few days ago, granted last week, had a test shoot after almost half a year of not creating anything. Really, Darius? I did not realise you were taking a break like that. That's crazy, man. Yeah, here is one of the shots from the last photo shoot. Hope you like it. It's very cool. Yeah. After coming home, I realised that I'm strongly inspired by your works and your colours. Nice. But tools and the whole process to achieve that kind of mood was different. It's not long exposure, it's prism lens. So interesting, right? We were just talking about this at the start of the stream. Darius, I know you only joined us later on, but we were talking about this kind of this very present trend or style that you will of kind of having this dirty foreground or dirtying up the scene, as it were. I think as they call it in movies, which is basically having stuff in front of the lens or stuff between the subject and the camera. It's certainly something that's very popular at the moment. And look, this looks great. This looks great. What I particularly like about this, Darius, and what I like about people who use the technique like you're using it here, is that it's not like the image is not about the technique, right? So the image, let me just get rid of this thing here, whatever that's doing. Let's get a static image back there. The final image is not about the technique, right? The final image is not about the lens. The final image is not about the filter. The final image is not about the prism that you're using, right? It helps to augment and kind of add something extra to the image, like the viewer is encouraged to look through the foreground element here and into the scene. It doesn't dominate it. And this is what I like about these effects. People use people replicate some of my projector work, and you look at the image and it's just like that. All I think about when I look at that image is you've used a projector, right? It's not about the technique. It needs to be about the final image, not about the technique. And I think you've done a great job with this here. Gorgeous colours as well. Love this kind of cyan mixed with the orange. Always a fan of that colour combo. Really nice, really nice. Got one here from Alan. Looking good, man. Loving the colours. Looking good. Good. Yeah. Had a shoot with Artemis. Yeah, I never got to shoot with Artemis, Alan. Yeah, I think she's up north somewhere, I think, or a little bit further away. It never happened. It was always something that nearly did, but yeah, never ended up shooting with her. I had a shoot with Artemis. She's excellent though. Yeah, I wanted to try out one of the backdrops from Chromatica. Yeah, so main light was 600 AD with the 90cm parabolic softbox left on picture. Okay, so let me just. So main light was 600 AD with a 90cm parabolic left over here, right? Yeah, sorry. My brain. Right side, a smaller Godox softbox on the right over here somewhere. Hairlight was Godox V1 with a half CTO. Okay. Nice, Alan, nice. Okay. So we can see she's in Mansfield. Mansfield. Is that north of Birmingham or not? You have to forgive me, Alan. Like my geography in the UK, not great. Yeah, anything north of the Thames, mate. A little bit sus. Gotta be careful. So we can see the warm colour that Alan's added here, right? This beautiful warm hair light, which is a half CTO. great choice, man, great choice. And again, this is what we like. We don't want these hair lights to be over the top, right? We don't want these headlights to blur out the highlights. It's about adding dimension and depth. It's not about, check me out, I'm using multiple lights and colors. So I think you've done a really nice job with this. And I think the half CTO was a nice choice because it blends beautifully with the colors in the shot here. Yeah, so I think that's a good choice. Yeah. Choosing Mansfield, yeah. Nottinghamshire, yeah. North, yeah. Oof. Gotta be careful, mate. Gotta be careful. So the only thing about this is when we don't have but we're shooting full body, and it's kind of tricky in this environment. I'm not sure about the space that you have here. Is when like the skin goes this blotchy color, and that's because it's not getting the same amount of light as the top half. And look, there's a lot of reasons for this, and I'm not kind of pointing fingers here because there's certain things that are just not possible. Space makes it very difficult to kind of get an even tone. Color of the room, or what I refer to as radiosity of the room, which is light bouncing around, going to make it difficult. Would this leg look a lot better if she was standing on a pure white floor in a pure white studio? Of course, right? Of course. And then lights, right? Jake, I've only got 3 lights, 4 lights, whatever, So there's certainly a bunch of things that can make your life tricky with that, but it's just about what can we do with the skin looks beautiful up here, and then down here it goes this kind of purpley grayish color, which is not always as flattering. Now in this situation, if you don't have the space, time, or the lights on the day, then really the only fix for it is to just kind of add a color layer in Photoshop, and then take a color picker from the face up here, and then just paint that leg with the same color as the as the face, and that will help to just bring those together. Yeah, it was 5 foot softbox umbrella in the garage. Exactly right. So yeah, you're in a garage, right? So it's gonna be tough. You can't have. Do you know what, Jake? Yeah, I should have put an 8 foot octa 15 feet behind me. That's what I should have done. It's just not possible, right? Yeah. Etienne here, very colourful. Yeah, 4 light setup, 2 strip parabolics, and 1 optical spot. Okay. So again, a lot of foreground elements here, really nice. And I kind of like the way that this kind of foreground bokeh element mirrors this big bokeh at the back. I know it's not. I know it's the optical spot, but I love the fact that it's kind of done that. That like the balls, as it were, and almost echoed as well in the kind of retro style 60s ish kind of top that we have here. I think it's kind of cool. Yeah, it works. So echoing the background with the foreground, which is what I think is going on here with these foreground elements, these balls of light, and then with that big same color ball of light in the background, which I know is an optical spot, but echoing the foreground with the background is a nice touch. And obviously the colors help to tie it all together. Great pose as well. Really, great pose. Any pose like this where we're kind of looking for these angles, right? Always looking for these angles. Having that flow through the image is always good. Yeah. So this is kind of tricky, right? And this is kind of more advanced, Etienne. So I'm not being too harsh here, but this is what can happen when we have multiple lights in a scene, all falling in the same area. And forgive me, I'm not pointing fingers, but I've got a fairly good idea. I know what the raw file of this looked like with the colors on the skin here, and the more colored light we layer on top of one another, the closer we get to this kind of washed out color, right? Which is what's kind of going on here. We have the pink sitting on top of the blues, and then we have these kind of pockets of mixed color here. And then if we were to just take like just a screenshot of a square in there, we'd probably find that it was almost gray because multiple colors layered on top of one another neutralize each other and that sort of stuff. So it can be tricky, right? It can be tricky. Again, tight spaces and that sort of stuff. So if you can't control the lights that much, we've really got to work about how we can turn the pose so that we have try and get less lights mixing on the face. So like try and keep bring the chin to one light, and maybe have it like that, and then maybe another light coming from this side. Just try and keep them a little bit more separated, and that will help to clean up some of these colors and avoid these colors washing out where they all kind of layer on top of one another. And we can see like the color breakup that's happening here on the hand as well. So look, excellent shot. Only nerdy people like me are really gonna question the spread of color here, but it's just something to be mindful of. Should use to kick it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Difficult with space, especially when, like here in this instance, it's like, well, fucking kicker would have been a shot. So it's tough on that, and yeah, with the space that you have, it's tough. Yeah. I love the colors though, like these, because even the greens, I'm always real sus at greens, but I think it definitely works here. Yeah, definitely works. But another thing that instantly made me think about this shot when I opened it up, which I thought was quite interesting on a visual note, was I kind of started off down here and then came up here to the face, which I thought was like rare. Images don't normally do that, especially here in the West where we kind of go, left to right, top to bottom. But I think it's because of the almost the I don't know whether it's the richness in the colors here, but started off down here and then came up to the face, which is actually kind of a interesting route, which doesn't normally happen with images. So nothing wrong with that at all. In fact, it was kind of cool. I just thought I'd mention the way that it happened, just because we have this negative space here that we would normally have something. It was just interesting that it went that way. Yeah. I got a shot from Steph here. Recent shoot, as you know, red again, but I love it so too much. Yeah. So yeah, red is So I've always got a bunch of lighting ideas rattling around in my head, and I agree with you, Steph. Yeah, it's difficult to get rid of the red when it is such a powerful color, and it's always popular, right? Whenever you post an image with red, it does well, right? Always does well. So I do try and consciously mix it up, but yeah, when it works, right? And I think you just got to get it out of your system, and then you'll move on naturally. This is cool. Interesting angle. You're down super low, which again, they're kind of looking down on you. I also like the geometrics that we have here, where we have this, these kind of triangles in the frame, which is kind of cool. Like, which is really nicely done. I mean, even you could argue that one as well, and we have another triangle in here, a triangle here as well. So this is always something. The geometrics in an image like this are always going to give a lot of power visually, right? They're always very arresting images. Triangles do a really good job of that, of like bringing you into a frame. And the reason I mention it here is because I think it would have been very easy for you to kind of get this off, right? Her, leaning that sword just a bit over to the left or right there, and I think we would have lost a huge amount of power in this shot. I think the fact that you've managed to keep this almost completely at right angles to the floor that she's on, I think creates a very powerful shot. And again, I think a lot of people would have just shot it straight on. So I do like the fact that you've kind of doubled down on all the angles, not only in this very dynamic pose and dynamic, position that you're at height-wise, but also the angle that the shot is taken at as well. So the only thing that I would kind of look at on this, if I was shooting this, is just to raise that chin just slightly up into that light, because we can see where the light is coming from up here. It's obviously very, very bright up here, and it's just not always as flattering when the chin comes down, and we end up getting these kind of lines here, right? And just raising that chin just up into the light slightly, which would just open up that face a ton, right? So personal preference, of course, but yeah, when I'm looking at a shot like this, just bringing that chin up slightly would have just to open up the face just a little bit more, lighting wise, would have been something that I would have looked at. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, interesting, Christian. Yeah, nice. Okay, 4 light setup. Okay, we've got a lot going on here. So we got 4 light setup, orange and red left, blue right, white octa, frontal slightly top right, okay, plus FX overlays added in post. This is interesting, Christian. And the reason it's interesting because we don't see these, like these overlays used to be so popular years ago, right? DeviantArt days, wild, man. But we were mad for it, and it just kind of gave me this kick of nostalgia as soon as I saw them, because you just do not see them anymore, and that's not a bad thing, right? It's absolutely room for trying new ideas, and these look clean. These look clean, like they don't look muddily, you know, slapped on and it's obvious afterwards. Like you've integrated them beautifully. Like, I mean, yeah. I might have just masked out this thigh here with the fractals on this here, just to allow the baubles to be on this side and the fractals to kind of be behind. But yeah, I haven't seen overlays in a long time. Maybe it's time they came back. But this is good. So 4 lights, orange and red left. Yeah, we can see that over there. We've got the blue right. Yeah, we've got a little bit kicking in there. We've got the octa in here. Yeah, we can just see catch light in the eye there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So again, the blue is probably being washed out a touch by that key light. I would say that if this was me and looking at this, I would probably ease off on that octa a touch, exposure wise, just to, you know, maybe half stop, maybe even a stop, just to really bring that down, and that'll probably give room for the blue to breathe in here as well. We'll probably start to see a little bit more blue creeping in, because at the moment that white light is probably dominating and bleaching it out. But this is cool. Yeah, it's interesting to see this style again. I haven't seen it in forever, but this is done very, very cleanly. Yeah. Plus FX overlays. I don't know whether you've used a program specifically or you just managed to download some stuff from the internet and do it in Photoshop, but it looks clean, man. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Oh, Tony, winter is approaching, so earlier sunset. So those of you that don't know, Tony is our resident Aussie. So he spent the last 6 months teasing us with his beach photos during Christmas. So now we get to turn the tables. As he says, winter is approaching. It's so weird. Earlier sunsets. Yeah. This is good. Tony, anything I would say about this? I know it's kind of tricky, but I would kind of want to see that horizon line just straightened out a touch. Personally, let's have a look. Yeah. So I'd want to see that image just turned a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, nice colours though, and like the benefit of you capturing these sunsets at this time is trying to balance the background light with the foreground light, because I'm pretty confident you're using supplemental lighting here on her, which is balanced nicely, right? We haven't got any just on airing on the edge of clipping here, but you know, photographing it at this time where you're able to balance the foreground and background light is nice touch. Yeah. Paul, I don't think Paul's in here tonight. I think he got burned by BT last week, and it's like, I'm done. But Paul is looking good. Yeah, here's one from earlier this week. This model is brand new to the business, so lovely to work with. Nice. Okay, this is one. You mean she's not been she's not negative. Yeah. This is one of the fave go-to light setups. Always gives great results. Okay. Yeah. So what Paul's saying is we got the big, probably got a nice big softbox behind, or he's firing a couple of lights into the white background just to give this glow. Yeah. Okay. Good work on the. I think this is what Evoto, Paul. I think you use that just to buzz it through. Can't argue with the results, right? Looks clean. It's clean. I probably would have just watched this light coming around and hitting the nose. Just would have brought that nose slightly away, just so we're not catching the highlight on the tip of the nose there. Otherwise, yeah, good stuff. Okay. So let's look at. We only got a couple more to go through because it was being quite night. I think it's highlight. Oh, you mean one of those big? I know what you mean. Yeah. One of the jumbo. What are they called? highlights. You're right, they're called highlights, but they're just it's just like a big oblong ice cream wafer thing that you put two lights in the sides, right? I remember those things. Yeah, we used to use them when we were doing location studios. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. These things. Yeah. He has. I was going to say. I presume you know he has one. Yeah. Yeah, these things. It's just a massive kind of pop-up thing. Yeah, which you put lights in. Ours used to have lights in the side. So yeah, so the light would go in the side there, and then you'd have one on the other side there, and it would just basically, blow it out there in the middle. Yeah. I remember those things, man. Yeah. That one was 500 quid. That thing, Jesus Christ. There's no way Paul spent that money on it. That's for sure. Knowing Paul. Oh, nice. So we get a couple of updates. A couple of you get the double dip. And Tony comes in again, and we got another shot from Alan here. Okay, good stuff. This is cool. So interesting. Talk about light precision. The blue LED wash was obviously not the challenge here, opposed to positioning two green laser pointers. Okay, damn. To exactly match the trajectory with my lovely model Monique right in the middle. If I'm ever doing this again, I'll probably use a mist filter though. The camera really had a hard time picking up the laser even with quite a lot of haze in the room. Interesting. Then you did a good job of that, because I opened this up and I'm like, there's no way he matched, because I was like, it has to be two lasers, obviously you're not going through it, but I was like, there's no way he matched that up. That looks like a pain. I know that is a pain. Yeah. So if I'm doing this ever again, I'd probably use a mist filter. I don't think the mist filter would make any difference, I'm afraid, Lena. I think the way that you did it was absolutely the right thing to do with the mist in the room. I think you could have a very heavy lens filter and it wouldn't make any difference. Because it's only really going to affect light coming into the lens, which is obviously not happening here. So all it would affect is kind of making her milky, but you probably wouldn't see any additional laser. That's my kind of educated guess on it. I would say that the light probably I think the way that you did it was the right way. And hats off for nailing those two lasers back to back like that. That's good. Yeah. I'm just looking at that going, I know that would have been a nightmare. Yeah. Especially since you could only see them when the haze is like maxed in the room and then the haze is disappearing, you can't see it. I know that would have been a pain in the ass. Yeah. New photo for you. Nice. Flash camera left. So Tony again, Tony's already running from the winter. He's gone back inside. Flash camera left, two LEDs camera right. Nice. Okay, so we can see the flash here, which is the frozen model here on this side, and then we've got two LEDs camera right, one high, slightly behind the model. Okay, so we've probably got a bright background here, which is because he's moved the camera, so this is probably where the original shot was taken over here. I dropped one of the Godox LEDs while attaching it to a light stand. Will we just talk about this? What were we just saying? Side note, I dropped one of the Godox LEDs whilst attaching it to the light stands. So Tony's blaming his hands here, but two of the four latches of the battery broke, but the light still works fine and the battery is firm in the remaining latches. Okay. Pain in the ass, Tony. That is a pain in the ass, but it happens, man. It happens. Yeah. This is cool. Look, I think anytime you're playing with the long exposure and LEDs, long exposure LEDs and flash, ton of fun. Always get some really unique images. I would say that if you're going to try this again, I would recommend having her face the other way, right? So that when the flash goes off, her face is being lit from more of beautiful side on this side, looking into the light rather than coming across the face on this side. So I think if you're going to do this again, which I hope you do, is kind of have her face towards the flash, which I know is tricky because the flash isn't on when you're taking the shot. It only goes off for a split second, so it can be kind of weird to visualize until you see the final image. But yeah, kind of have her, maybe chin to flash, as it were, and then you can move the camera around as well afterwards. Yeah. Christian again. What do we have from Christian a minute ago? What did he give us a minute ago? We had one from Christian back here, right? Or am I just imagining that? No, we did. We definitely did. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yeah, so we did this one last time. So we got this time. So we did the fractals last time. I had an Arctic white background and the model with white shirt. So I wanted to make separation. Okay. True. So white shirt and then white background. And also to affect the model look a bit, okay? So, which I presume some of the blue on the model here. I placed the softbox with a blue gel on the right, pointed to the background. So, I presume it means our right over here. And to the back of the model. Yeah, so we can kind of see the blue catching the leg here on this side as well. Yeah. And then a 90, centimeter octa on the top right, which we can see it's coming from this side across. Yeah, we can see shadows on the left hand side here, but not directly oriented to the model. But there's a rim lighting using the edge of the light. Okay, so when he's talking about the rim lighting, maybe he's talking about like the blue that is kind of burning out here on the white, that sort of stuff. But I think this is a cool shot. I think I'd probably tighten up the exposures on some of these, just because we can see that we're kind of clipping the data here in the white shirt. I don't think you're in chat, Christian, right? I could be wrong, but you might be in chat. I'm kind of curious as to, did you use Evoto to get rid of the creases in this shirt? Because when we reviewed it a few months ago, I think it was like the clothing creases fold thing was like in beta and that sort of stuff, and it was like actually pretty interesting filter. It seems to do a pretty good job. So I'm just kind of curious whether you painstakingly did this by hand or whether you're using something like Evoto to get rid of the creases in the shirt here. But yeah, I would again, I mentioned this about the previous image that we looked at from last week. I would say just ease off on that exposure on these and just tighten them up. And I think you'd be surprised as to how much more color is there when we just bring down the exposure. Now, I'm not sure how you're working. Some people will be using a light meter, right? And I'm not saying you are doing this or not, but they'll go in and go, okay, take a light meter reading of, like the background here, cool, 5.6. Take a light meter reading of like the model shirt here, 5.6. Okay, cool. And then go and take the shot. What's actually happening is that where two lights land in the same place is f8, right? Because you've gone 5.6 and then you put another 5.6 light on top, doubling the power, which is a whole stop. So it's f8, which is why sometimes shots can be overexposed by one stop, where people aren't either keeping the light separate or they're not light metering with both the lights on. They're doing it one light at a time. Not saying that's what's going on here. I'm just saying that's what I've seen in the past. Yeah. And we've got last one from Alan here. This is cool. Okay, so different angle and crop. You've done a good job with this garage, Alan. You've done a good job with this garage. That's crazy, man. Yeah. That looks legit. I wanted to create more regal, historic feel. I used my new backdrop from Attica. he's getting the AdSense in. Backdrops with a 5-foot umbrella to the left. Okay, so we got big umbrella, big old boy. 8600, nice. And to the right, I had 8300 with a good softbox to soften the shadows. Yeah, so we can see this obviously brighter on this side. Now, see how we get away without needing a kicker here where the skin isn't exposed. It's totally fine, right? Because we're not worried about the dress being this kind of more of a greeny color down here. Like, we're totally fine with that. It's when it's skin that we start to notice it, right? It's kind of weird. This is, really we should do something about the light, but if it's covered, fine. Yeah. Good. Up as the shadows, I had a hair light with good V1 CTO. So quarter, so he knocked it back even more. Okay. And dumb on the front. The rest of the set, I just used material to help enhance the scene. Yeah, this is cool, man. This is good. So you got that. You got that CTO back there is cranking. Is that the only thing that's casting this shadow here, right? Well, I think it's good. I think it's good. Yeah. I mean, maybe ease off on it a touch, just so we're not clipping some of these highlights. But I think it looks good. Yeah, looks good. Good texture on the fabric as well. Nice highlights and shadows. Yeah. I mean, you know, here as well, I think you balanced it out. I think we have shape and form on the body without the shadows getting muddy. I think you've done good, man. Yeah, done good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I even like the way this light is catching the edge of this curtain here. It's kind of cool. I think you've done well, you know, blending that backdrop with this kind of Moroccan terracotta wall with this blanket sheet curtain thing, whatever. I think you've done a good job blending them, man. Yeah, it's good. Yeah. Difficult. Is it? Yeah, we can see a couple of lines here, but I suppose that's because that light at the above is just catching it here. I suppose if it was kind of flagged a little bit, so it wasn't hitting the back. If this top light wasn't hitting the background in any way, we wouldn't see. You know, we wouldn't see any rippling at all back there. Yeah. Something to think about. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Yeah. Okay. So look. Light on the images this week. I'll allow it. Okay, I let you down last week, so I'll allow the fact that, you know, nobody entered this week. But next time, guys, come on, next time. We got some good shots, so thankfully we went for quality over quantity. But next time, guys, I think that's about it. I think that's all I wanted to cover. As always, if you want to check out my website, you can do. I got a water shoot coming up the end of July, so check that out. It should be good. It's an in-person workshop where we're gonna play around with this water tank process. We're gonna do a bunch of different shots in colors, and that should be a good day. We got half. I think it's half filled at the moment. So check that out. If anybody's interested in anything, you know, like, oh, Jake, you know, I'm a million miles away, other side of the world, then, you know, we've always got the online workshops. You can always check those out. Okay. Hey, no worries, Andre. Yeah, take care, man. Thanks for hanging out. Always good to chat with you guys. So yeah, online workshops are there. I do a bunch, like whether it be my new Color 2.0 one, which goes really into a lot of the new colored lighting techniques that I've been working on. Do the cinematic one as well, which is another monster workshop that, you know, we probably need to take several hours to go through. But yeah, so check those out. Yeah, we're good. I'm still doing a few of the online workshops, which is cool. And like I said, we've got that in-person one in July. So that'd be good. Yeah, I need to pull my finger out and actually book some other studio lighting workshops, because I think it'll be good. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, then, guys, been a pleasure. Hopefully I don't get blacklisted by Godox. That'd be great. Godox, if you're listening, would love to check out the what Palette Lab's like. Hopefully I haven't been blacklisted, but I look forward to doing the review on this. Now that said, I gave this panel a hard time, but I did use their optical spot, their baby optical spot on the shoot. That thing is absolutely insane. I don't know what black magic they're doing to create such a clean, wide light in that tiny package. So, you know, like that's definitely a win. Also tested out that light tube in a couple of the images, which I'll show you as well. Gorgeous lighting on that pop-up, blow-up tube. Yeah. So look, panel not great, but the other kit they sent was outstanding. So yeah, win some, you lose some. All right, guys, have fun, take care, and let's do this again in a couple of weeks. Bye for now.